so many great panelists joining today to share their experiences with technology and streaming in the worship space. So I'm so excited to be able to bring all that content to you. People are filtering in right now, so welcome. Make sure you say hello in the chat. Let us know where you're watching from. It's great to have you all here.
Super excited about the Zoom events platform as well. This platform allows us to have a webinar where we can have all of our experts and our guests present today in a fun webinar style platform where you can ask questions. It can be interactive, but we also have a dedicated second track for networking, and we're going to open that up in just 15 minutes. So if you want to meet with some friends, we've been doing Worship Summit for over 5 years. You want to reconnect, you want to chat with the PTZOptics engineers or a lot of the professionals from PreSonus, from Pro Church Lights. We even have Greg Terry coming in from Ukraine, who's on a missionary trip. So a lot of interesting people. Our keynote speaker, Gosselin from ChurchFront. A lot of awesome people here who can chat with you. Plus, a cool giveaway Tess is going to tell you about in a minute.
That's right. We're so excited to be giving away some tech today. We always do a giveaway during our worship summits, and it's just our chance to give back to you, the viewers. So we're really excited to be giving away a Move SE, a PTZOptics Move SE 1080p live streaming PTZ camera. Michael just shared that QR code to the Gleam to enter. If you want to join the giveaway today, you must be in the networking breakout room, which is the other room outside of this. You're in the main stage right now, but we'll be doing that later on in the day, so you don't have to worry so much about that right now. Again, welcome to Worship Summit Live, those of you who are just tuning in. We're so excited to have you here today.
Mike, is there any audio? People are saying there's no audio.
We're good.
Okay. Maybe they're just in the lobby. That's the problem.
Yeah, you have to, if you want to.
Oh, you did? Okay.
Okay. So
let's start from the top then, guys.
Let's start it from the top.
Welcome to Worship Summit Live, our 5th annual summit.
We're so excited to have you here today. We've got some amazing panelists and speakers lined up to share their experiences and their innovations and their expertise in live streaming and worship spaces. So stay tuned. Those of you who are filtering in right now, welcome. We're so happy to have you here with us today. If you haven't already joined our user group community, it's our live streaming for worship dedicated online community. There's a QR code right now there for you to go ahead and join churches that live stream on Facebook to share your experiences and your questions about live streaming in the worship space. Also, Mike's showing the Gleam code. We do have an amazing giveaway today. For those of you who are just hopping on, if you haven't entered the giveaway to win a PTZOptics Move SE, check out that QR code right there. That'll take you to the Gleam, and you can enter to win a Move SE. So super exciting stuff to kick the show off today. Welcome again to Worship Summit Live. There's a picture of the Move SE, the camera that you can win today by following that QR code. You must be in the networking and breakout room to claim your prize. Right now, you're in the main stage. So later on today, when we will announce that we're drawing the giveaway, you're going to want to hop into the networking breakout room to join the giveaway. Those of you who have not already joined our Facebook community, please check out that QR code right there and join Churches That Live Stream to ask all of your questions about live streaming and houses of worship with our community there who's dedicated to one another. Really great experience sharing in there. So tune into that. And join the breakout room today. If you want to ask questions to our speakers and panelists today, you can face-to-face in the breakout room. So right now you're in the main stage room. Once the speakers are done their presentations, you can head back to the lobby and access the breakout room where you can ask questions face-to-face with our speakers today.
One of the awesome things about today's sessions is that not only do we have a webinar here, we've got a lobby chat, and we have a breakout room. So today you're going to be able to hear from all of our great speakers. We've got Greg Terry coming in from the Ukraine, where he's on the front lines doing really important missionary work. We have just going down the list here, we've got Frank Chabelle from Pro Church Lights talking about lighting in churches. We've got Richard Gaspard from PreSonus and Fender who's talking about audio. We've really tried to do a well-rounded presentation here based on your feedback, right? We've been doing this for 5 years. At the end of this event, there will be a survey. We always take those survey results very seriously. So give us your feedback. That's how we've gotten so far. We know you want to hear about music and music tech. Alan Bunt is going to be talking about public domain music and how he automates a lot of the music that they play in his church. We're going to have Jake Gosselin, by popular demand, from ChurchFront, who always gives such real practical advice on easy ways to improve your worship ministry. I will be talking about auto tracking cameras and Dante, which is an awesome IP audio solution. We'll be talking to Nick Marzak, who is a really cool guy on behalf of Full Compass. He's working with Full Compass to make some really cool worship-specific content. And then we'll have some time for networking. So we'll network. We'll have a giveaway. Don't forget to enter the giveaway. We've shared the link in the lobby here. And Tess and I are going to be keeping our eye on the chat in the lobby. Doesn't look like we have chat in the webinar.
We do.
We do?
Yes.
Okay, good.
We do have chat. And
I
asked everybody where they're watching from, and it's just filing in right now. It's so cool to see people watching from all over the country and the world. So thanks for joining.
I think everything is working. And I have to say, Zoom Events is a cool platform in that way, where we've got a webinar, we've got a lobby, you've got the opportunity to have one-on-one conversations, because in our breakout room, not only is that where like our speakers are going to be? I'll be there in a moment. We're answering questions, full two-way communications. We've also got breakout rooms. So if you want to chat with someone in a smaller group, in a smaller session, I have already created a few breakout rooms. You should be able to move yourself and a friend directly into that room, so you can you've got a lot of options for education today. And that's what I think makes virtual events good, is giving everyone options. You want to check out the webinar, and everything's being recorded, right? So the one thing that you don't want to miss out on is the networking and collaboration and asking the questions. All the webinars are going to be recorded and posted later. So, and all the past webinars too, right? 5 years worth. Not that you want to dig that deep into the catalog, but Mike, our producer, tries to segment them out into small bits so you can just choose what's most effective for you.
And no doubt he'll do that for today's content as well. We are live streaming on YouTube. So for those of you who are watching on YouTube, shout out to you. Hello. Thanks for joining today. And let us know where you're watching from. That is the question of the day. So before we kick things off, let us know where you're watching from. There is a schedule that you can view. We will be showing that periodically throughout the content today. So yeah, and you should be able to, on the Zoom event, see the schedule as well.
Yeah. I'm going to paste the schedule into the lobby as well. Mike's posting it up right here. I just posted it. And then otherwise, we are ready to bring Stephen Heywood and Greg Terry on. This is going to be a really interesting event, so this is going to be cool. Go Stephen, go Greg.
Hey guys, welcome to the 2024 Worship Summit Live. My name is Stephen Heywood. Thank you so much for tuning into our speaking engagement here that we have. I'm going to be joined here momentarily by Greg Terry. This is our presentation. Greg is live right now from the war zone in Ukraine. Greg, what's going on?
Hey there, Stephen. Live and kicking. Yes, and folks, I'm not recreating Freddy Krueger. This is actually what I have to do, and we'll talk about that in a moment. But I first want to say thank you to PTZOptics for the invitation. And I've been chatting also with Paul and Tess, and of course, Stephen all the time. We're buddies, we're neighbors. And it's my honor to be here. Unfortunately, it seems that every year that this rolls around, for the last few years, I've been in the war zone. So hopefully, if I'm invited back for next year's Worship Summit, it will not be in a war zone. But well, regardless, we're good.
That's the hope, right? Because I know a lot of people, they watch Salt Talk, right? And they've been wondering, like, what happened to Salt Talk? And well, you've been in a war zone, so we had to put it on hiatus because you don't know when you're going to get signal. And that was something that I had asked you while you were sitting in the dark, and you were saying how you were 5 miles from the Russian border. Do you want to kind of elaborate a little bit, like what would happen? Like what's going on? Are they like tracking you? What's happening?
Okay, so first of all, for the gospel message of this, I want you to know that no matter where you're at, and where you're watching from and being a part of this worship summit today, if you really have a desire to use technology to get the gospel message out, you can do it. Right now, I'm 5 miles, about 10 clicks from the Russian border, and I'm under a rock right now. So when I knew it's my time to speak and all of this, we had pre-scheduled with my guys that I run around here with, and I'll tell you more about that in just a second, to make sure that we're in a safe location. And yeah, it's dangerous, guys. It's a war zone. It's horrible. I'm here to help people. I'm here to provide life-giving aid, to feed the hungry, to clothe those that are naked, to give medicine to the sick. And that's the gospel message. That's the gospel in action. And to do that, it takes a lot of money. And my personal YouTube channel has grown like crazy because I'm here on the front lines telling the truth about what's going on, from firsthand experience, firsthand witnesses, and it is allowing me a platform to minister the gospel. Now, many people around the world have come together, and not just Christians. I'm talking all religious backgrounds, non-religious, left, right, middle, red, white, yellow, blue, purple, from Mars. It doesn't matter. They're coming together because they want to help people, and they found a way to do it because here we help people hand to hand. So right now I'm actually looking into a PTZOptics Studio Pro camera that is a boss of a machine. In fact, I had told Paul or Tess one, and of course you knew Stephen because you helped me get my gear ready, to come here and be remote. You said, man, take the Studio Pro, and I messaged, it was Paul or Tess, or maybe both. I said, your Studio Pro is going to a war zone, and I'm going to give it a real test. I can report to you right now that, and it's not a plug, it's just reality. The camera's the bomb. I'm looking into it right now. I have a laptop in front of me. I've got a couple of portable LED panels. I've got a Elgato Studio or Elgato Wavelink microphone here that I'm also using for my ears, and no internet. So I'm actually right now running through a Netgear Nighthawk. It's got a double SIM card in it, and I'm getting about 120 megabytes down and about 45 up. Additionally, I also have a Starlink, and we do whatever is necessary. Now here, I'm a part of the Kapelansky Battalion. That translates Chaplain Battalion. And for those of you that keep up with the war in Ukraine, you see down here, you may not be able to read it, but I'll read it for you. It says Mariupol. And this is a chaplain ministry connected with Ukraine that is helping not only military to provide spiritual covering, spiritual aid, and even medicinal aid and food, but also evacuate civilians, evacuate the wounded, help the elderly, feed, clothe, you name it, we do it. And it's amazing. It's very dangerous. There are drones everywhere. So like my cell phone cannot have location services on. I can't use any of the cellular signals like that because the drone technology, they can link onto it and they come right after you. We have anti-drone detectors on our vehicle. We have night vision that we drive with. I mean, this is serious, guys, but I feel compelled to share the gospel of Christ in the worst situation. And this is, it's really, really bad here. And this is not political. This is not, we're not going to talk about war. I'm going to give you a couple examples. We're talking about the gospel of Christ. We're talking about how technology can be used in any situation to share the gospel and to get people aboard to help. And that's what we're all here for today. The Worship Summit is some incredible speakers that PTZOptics has lined up. I'm going to do my best to glean from all of them. And I'm just excited that we have our part to play in this.
No, absolutely. And I don't think people realize, the difficulty it is, you have to schedule a broadcast like this, uh, in advance to make sure that you are in the safest possible space. I mean, you got armed guards standing around the building to make sure that nobody's going to bust in on you.
Yeah, I run.
It's crazy.
I run only with military, and that's because I want to stay alive. So I've got guys that help me, and everywhere I go, the front line here is 1,000 kilometers long. For those of you in the United States, that is 600 miles long of a war front. It's massive. And many volunteers or many chaplains or many of those trying to provide aid have been killed. And that is because they do it apart from the military. Now, Ukraine has stopped all of that because so many were killed. I also have a full press credentials here given to me by the Ukrainian military. And I have access everywhere. I also speak the language. So it's a little bit different for me, but there's a huge open door because I'm here. And the reason that door is open is because I've got a long track record, 26 years working here. I work with the military, I work with security, so we're all safe, but we're helping thousands and thousands and thousands of people, and we're making a difference. So it's real. When I knew this time was coming for me to be with Stephen, I've been here 3 hours under a rock, secure. And literally, in fact, let's do this, Stephen. Let's roll T. And I want people to understand something special. We're talking about technology, talking about ministry. Take a peek at this. This is about a 1-minute video.
All right, guys, I know a lot of you are working and experiencing Ukraine through my eyes and my ears, my hands and my feet. And right now, what I'm doing up on the front is I'm having a nice cup of tea in the silver. And come on through. Having a nice cup of tea. And there's a nice cup of tea here. And you can see the hands of a hero. I think he's eating some candy right now. Confetti. Вкусно?
Дуже.
And what are we doing? We're sitting and talking, and building relationships, and being friends. And this is the most important thing. Around a little stool with a cup of hot tea and a piece of candy. So it's awesome.
So guys, that's the gospel in a nutshell. Sitting there, now that particular place, I'm sitting there with specialized soldiers who asked me to come by and to pray with them because they're being rotated to a new position that's extremely dangerous, and where they're at already is extremely dangerous. This is Greg. Come by here and pray with us. Let's have a cup of tea. Let's be friends. Let's talk. Give me some normal life. Tell me some stories. And guys, that's the gospel. That's the gospel of caring for people like Jesus did. And yes, we use technology. Yeah, cameras were there. And no, couldn't show faces. You saw their hands. Right after that video concluded, we were hit with a bomb. And the bomb dropped right across the road and down, just across and down, a 500 kilogram glide bomb. And when it hit, I mean, it was like, was it the Aretha Franklin song? I feel the earth move under my feet. I mean, it was whoop. And the guys looked at me and says, Greg, we need to go. We need to go. And it got very, very hot there. And we're okay. Everybody's fine. But I literally, we grabbed our stuff, and we have body armor and all that jazz. And I grabbed that Studio Pro and I literally slung it into our truck as we were running out of there, literally. And I can tell you, I'm looking through the camera right now and it's working. It's very durable. So, it's great. But the point being,
yeah,
this is it, guys. My goal today in my portion of the worship summit with Stephen is to inspire you to be compelled to share the gospel and use technology. Do not think, well, I just have a small church and this is a small thing. If it changes one person's life, is it not worth it? Of course it is. Of course it is.
I think people think sometimes that when you talk, and they see it on the news, that war, and then you talk to somebody that's on the front lines. I mean, even for me, you see it in movies and stuff. Has this changed your perception of all that now that you've been on the front lines?
Well, this is my 9th month being on the front lines, and yeah, it's changed my perception of priority. We think many times, and I know there's so many houses of worship represented in this event today, and probably worship leaders and technical people from churches and technology and media specialists and pastors. We think so much about what we have to do. We need to get this done right, this countdown, this camera angle, this smoke, this lights, all of this. Guys, let me be honest with you. That's all good. And my church at home, we're good at doing that. And in fact, we have all PTZOptics cameras and all this infrastructure and networking and all this jazz. And I thank God for it. But please hear me today. In reality, it doesn't mean anything if we're not focused on the gospel message. And the book of Romans says that the power of I'm not ashamed of the gospel, for it is the power of God unto salvation. And that's our hope, that people have an experience with God, and it's worth the risk. So you're probably not down the street from me right now. I would venture to say that's a pretty good guess, but that doesn't diminish your situation. Maybe you're here today and you're watching from Africa, and I do a lot of work in Africa, and you say, well, I have slow internet speed, I have this and I have that. Hey, there's a way. There's a way. You may be in some urban area and you go, well, my church, they don't get it, how important this is. There's a way. And if we keep the message of hope, and guys, you probably have recognized that the world's in a lot of chaos right now. If we keep the message of hope at the very center of what we're doing, it seems that God has a way of doing things and connecting and opening doors. They're actually...
Well, that's what I wanted to ask you. You're there, you're on the front lines, you're helping people, you're handing out food and supplies and things. But you mentioned earlier about your channel, and you're keeping everybody abreast with the real news, not, you're actually there. You're not giving a commentary on what the other news is saying. You're there. You're making this. How do you have time to do this?
We do not sleep. So, yeah, my channel is Greg Terry Experience on YouTube, and I also partnered with Stephen on Salt Talk and PTZOptics, and it's just, listen, this is not a shameless plug, but I can tell you this right now: PTZOptics cares about the houses of worship community, and it's very important, and they get it. So I'm very thankful to that. But I shoot a lot of video with permission. I have full press credentials here, and I have all of these IDs and all this jazz, and we work nonstop. This thing has exploded on me. Right now, people from over 40 nations are donating to our efforts, where they're seeing people fed and people clothed and life-giving aid happening, and they're seeing it. And people are compelled to do something good, and they found an avenue through us where they can actually, I say this on my videos pretty much every day, I'll be your eyes and your ears and your hands and your feet, but your heart is here with us. And you're going to see your love delivered. And I personally feel compelled. So up to this point, donations from around the world have totaled almost $500,000. Yeah, let that sink in. $500,000. And our church home there in Pennsylvania administrating all this through a nonprofit, and it's crazy what's happening. So I am compelled to share the reality and the truth so that people can see, okay, I've donated to this big organization, that big organization, and I never know what they're doing. But there with Greg, I see that I bought that food and he's giving it to that kid. And may that same type of desire. Honestly, I hope it's my portion today is lighting a fire inside of you to say, you know what? That guy is crazy to be there doing that, but I see there's a passion there. I pray today that that same passion would burn in you, because we all have a part to play in the kingdom of God. And I'm just doing my part. Stephen's doing his, and you guys do yours.
It's awesome just to even see some of the clips and things that you had from, what's that?
I said, you think?
Oh, well, I mean, it's cool to see the clips of like the people,
Yeah.
in the sense of they're trying to keep a good spirit about themselves in the midst of the war. Like I can't imagine how any of us, like we all have it good here in the United States, as bad as it can be sometimes.
Let
Like
me
we
tell you
have it
something,
good.
guys. Well, and today we have viewers from all over the world. I'm telling you right now, you do not want to be anywhere near this zone. And guys, there's no media here. So whatever you're watching on your television, they're not here. I promise you. I'm here. And it's not about war and politics. It's about human life. And it's ugly. With that said, I do have a clip I want you to roll, Stephen.
Okay.
Pavel Ivanovich, this guy is a legend. And this will be a good way to close out our portion today of the worship summit. Roll Pavel, and then we'll talk about Pavel.
Москали держали. Их тоже, как бы мы не были, а москали все-таки, мы слушали кого. Они ночью приезжают, забирают нам это, что есть. Они такие гады, ты что.
Let me give you guys just a little bit of insight. We're just sitting here and chatting, and
Ну, а сейчас же поверила вся страна, видишь?
he's telling me the story of when he was a little boy. And instead of translating it all, he just told it all to me, and I'll just summarize it. But he was 12 years old, and growing up in Ukraine, German soldiers came to his home and were staying there. And he says at 12 years old, I really didn't understand what was happening at that time in World War II. If I had known then what I know now, of course, I would have done differently. But this is the life that I've had. So from the World War II experiences as a boy, then into Stalin's army, then living in the Soviet Union, working in the Kyiv metro system, and now in 2024, having to deal with this horrible war. His heart just breaks because of the world that he's had to live in. And it's been a wonderful conversation. He's very animated. He's very detailed in his description. Every detail he remembers. And I thought it was very important to share it with you, that story. So just, if you look at this man and you think about the life he has lived, is basically from World War II occupation all the way through until now, with a large 20% of his country once again being occupied. So this is why he wants this to end and have a good life. Not for him, he knows he's toward the end, but for his children, grandchildren, and great-grandchildren.
Wow.
Yeah, dude, listen, there's millions of those stories, but that's Pavel Ivanovich. He's actually become a part of my YouTube channel because he gives commentary and tells stories, and how I can't find any better way than for us to summarize our portion today of the worship summit. The man's just saying, I've seen it all. I've seen it all. And we live in a very challenging world. And every time I leave Pavel, when I'm going out the door, he always says these words, die Bog, die Bog, die Bog, meaning we're in God's hands. And today I encourage you that no matter what situation you're in the hand of God. Be faithful to what he's called you to do, and be thankful for the technology you have that you can use to help you get it done. And we bless you tonight from Ukraine.
Greg, thank you so much for joining us here tonight. And guys, just so you know, we will be back in April to do more Salt Talk when Greg's back here on the soil of the United States, hopefully with positive news as we
Kissing
get to
the ground.
Kissing the ground that he walks on. But we will be back then. And until then, enjoy the rest of the summit. We know there's a lot of great speakers there. And We'll see you next time. We'll see you later on. Have a great rest of your summit.
What an amazing experience shared by Greg Terry with Stephen Heywood. That was intense and crazy to learn about. So thank you so much, guys. What an inspiring mission Greg is on. So yeah, great way to kick off Worship Summit Live. Thank you all for joining. If you're just joining in, we just finished our first session and we're on to our next session with Pro Church Lighting. Pro Church Lights, lighting for houses of worship. Frank Chabelle is our speaker. We're going to bring him on in just a moment here to talk about lighting in houses of worship and how to optimize your lighting scenario.
Awesome. Well, I get the privilege to be able to follow up after Greg's great presentation and sharing stories in Ukraine. So yeah, really moving stuff. So thank you for sharing that. So I'm really excited to join you guys today and be able to share with you. Hopefully you guys walk away excited about lighting and what it can be used for, and just kind of like taking a little note that I grabbed from Greg. I thought it was really important to kind of restate this again of like, if you have the ability to utilize a tool to help change someone's life, why don't we consider using it? So kind of my paraphrase for it. So today, I'm going to be talking about lighting for worship. So I'm a lighting guy by trade. I've been in this world for 15 plus years, and I'm just so excited to be able to share with you about some of my adventures and some of the things I've learned in my career. So very fun opportunity to be here with you guys today. So I thought it would be appropriate to start with one of my favorite passages of scripture, and it's found in John 1, verses 1 through 5. In the beginning, the Word already existed. The Word was with God, and the Word was God. He existed in the beginning with God. God created everything through him, and nothing was created except through him. The Word gave life to everything that was created, and his life brought light to everyone. The light shines in the darkness, and the darkness can never extinguish it. One of my favorite passages of scripture, and I thought it'd be a great way to start this conversation I get to share with you all. Something about light that I find to be amazing is the fact that when you see it, there's an invisible quality. There's this aspect of it that makes you realize that there's so much more going on beyond your finite life that exists out there. So I look up the night sky, and for me, that is like one of the greatest pictures in my mind of like the magnitude and the expansiveness of God's creation and his creativity and his artistry in creation. Something that light reminds me of is the aspect that it reminds me that there is a creator. Romans says this as well. Paul says that mankind, just kind of paraphrasing, that we see God's invisible qualities without even knowing of this God, essentially. So we all know instinctively of a creator, a master artist in play here. Lighting for me is an act of worship. It's one of the ways that I find myself engaging and able to express my love and admiration for my creator. So fast forward from creation to 2009. I was a plucky youth pastor in training, and I was the one youth intern that had such a hard time getting kids to want to come to his small group. While everyone else had probably around 50 some kids showing up consistently every Sunday to their small groups or showing up to youth group on Wednesday nights in this packed out auditorium, I was lucky if I got maybe 5 kids to show up. So what I found myself doing, I did my best to my ability to love on the guys that were there. And I found myself actually thrown into serving as a youth intern. We do a little bit of everything. I found myself using a half-broken multiplex lighting board. Multiplex predates DMX. So I was using this half-broken, root beer spilled on it probably 10 billion times lighting board. And I would change out gels every single Wednesday in preparation for youth group to help set the environment and tone. I learned this during one of the youth retreats during my beginning years in ministry, that lighting can really truly help shape the environment and help people edge a little closer to opening their hearts up to the Lord. And again, going back to what Greg said, I thought it was a beautiful, just a beautiful thought of like, if it can help someone come close to God, why don't we do what we can to help set the environment, set the table for it all? Even though those years were incredibly painful for me, I look back fondly on them now, and I'm reminded of God's purpose he placed in my life to be a worshiper, just like all of you guys, and the giftings he gave me. All those years of youth ministry, God used to help shape me and mold me into a person that understands that how important it is to utilize technology as a tool to help set up the environment for people to encounter God. It might be someone's first time ever, in fact. So before I get too ahead of myself, my name is Frank Chabelle. I'm lead designer at Pro Church Lights, lead lighting designer, excuse me. I oftentimes call myself chief helper. If anyone is a Bob Goff fan, I love his thought of, he called himself the lead helper. I consider myself the chief helper at our company. So I try to do everything I can to come alongside my partners, my teammates, as well as do what I can to help come alongside ministries. I care deeply for churches and helping them be able to reach their communities for Christ. Again, lighting is not an idol. It's simply a tool that can help set the environment, just like utilizing audio, video, PTZ cameras, which are pretty dope, to help capture these moments and help create these moments for people to encounter God. Lighting, when used intentionally, can truly change the environment and hopefully make the first introductions to someone's meeting of Jesus for the first time. Again, lighting is simply a tool. The way that I look at it is it's a modern day way of helping shape and create the tabernacle, the tent of meeting. It's all tools to be utilized. We're continuing, my friends, in an ancient tradition of helping build this space using technology. That's my firm belief. On top of being a big lighting nerd and getting to do a lot of fun projects and come alongside ministries, my most important ministry is being a husband and a father. I have a beautiful wife and beautiful children. I have a third one on the way. I'm gonna name my third son Light Bulb, probably, because I love lights so much. I'm kidding. So my beautiful family, they all love lights. They love ministry. They love loving on people, and it's such a joy to be able to be their father and the husband. To keep up with all that stuff and my projects, you probably can catch this in my voice. I'm highly caffeinated 24/7. It's again, that's like my big crutch. I love some good coffee. Okay. So pour overs, Starbucks is kind of mid, but good pour over really makes me happy. So, all right, let's go ahead and I'm going to go ahead and give you guys the big nuggets that you're going to walk away with today. Okay. So for any 30-minute sermon or presentation like I'm giving you today, there is 3 minutes of comprehension. For 30 minutes, you remember 3 things I say today. Okay, so I prepared for probably a couple days worth off and on, but you're gonna remember 3 points, three things for this conversation today. I'm gonna go ahead and give it to you. It is the equation for great lighting. So today, take a snapshot of that, take a screenshot of that, what have you. We're going to be learning today, what is the equation from my experience as an LD? What is the equation for great lighting in worship? Here we go. Here it is. The great equation. The equation for great lighting is the right tools plus right positioning plus correct quantities multiplied, this is the important one, multiplied by intentional programming equals great lighting for worship. This is something that I have observed in my career and in my observations and just my experiences and just things that God has taught me. These elements will help you achieve great lighting for worship. It's not always about having the biggest, best tool in the tool shed. It's about leveraging what you have to help shape the environment. It's all about using what you got to its fullest potential, my friends. Let's go ahead and jump on in. The right tools for the job. The first element that you want to utilize is the right tools. Okay. So again, you'll probably see this. You'll see this in a second here, but we are big fans at my company, and I am a firm believer of using the right tools to achieve what I'm going for. One of the tools that we utilize and what I utilize very regularly are Fresnel style fixtures. These fixtures are great for lighting up people's faces, kind of on my camera shot here. They can also be utilized in different ways for blinders, for backlight, a lot of different applications for them. But Fresnel's, what makes them very useful is the fact that it makes a nice even wash of light, a very nice soft wash of light. And the lensing of this allows it, the specialized lens, how it's cut, allows for the light to be dispersed evenly. Oftentimes, Fresnel fixtures do have the ability where you can widen the wash or make it more narrow. It makes it more variable, more easy to work with. This is a great tool to utilize in many scenarios where I'm trying to light up a stage, okay? Now, one of the other aspects of Fresnel style fixtures that's categorized with them is what's called barn doors. I'm sure you've seen these on TV, in movies, maybe on cartoons, or maybe at your churches as well. Barn doors are these flaps that allow for your lights to be tapered and more directed and kind of honed in on the area you want to go, okay? It kind of helps give a little more control to that scatter shot of wash that comes from Fresnel fixtures, okay? Now, moving on from there, another fixture that's very commonly used, and I use these all the time as well, is the ellipsoidal. These are commonly used in theaters, but they're also utilized in larger spaces oftentimes as well. I've used these for many years. Now, I will say that these are takes a little more skill and ability to be used, okay? Not saying you can't use these at your church, but these do take a little more work and more intentionality in my experience. Ellipsoidal style fixtures are categorized by these lens tubes that can be inserted, and they have the ability where you can make them wider, more narrow, and they also have these framing shutters here that you could help shape the light, if you will, and you could also fuzz out the wash, so that way you can cover the area nice and evenly. So these are nice for long spaces you're trying to shoot light onto, or utilizing them for larger, more specific spots you're trying to light up too. Next, we have, let me say this here. So when you're utilizing fixtures for lighting up the stage, or lighting up the pulpit, it's highly advised you try to utilize fixtures with a high CRI rating. What that means is a color rendering index. The higher the rating, the more natural and realistic the light is. So 100 being the sun as the reference point for natural light. And then you'll notice here in the graph that the light on the fruits in this drawing here look a little more kind of muted, a little more kind of looking. So the more natural the light, the more realistic it'll look on the subject. Okay, so try to utilize higher CRI rated fixtures. I'm proud to say the fixtures we manufacture are pushing 90 plus, which is very helpful. Okay, now battens. Battens are long bar style fixtures that can be used to light up walls, can be used for blinders, if you will, as well. These are really fun. It's great for lighting up scenic design pieces. You can use those as well for lighting up walls, scenic design pieces, blinders. They're very, very great fixtures to use for creative elements and things like that. Okay, now finally, my personal favorite, I'm a big fan of movers. I love programming. It's super fun. Now, the most common fixtures that is utilized in churches many times are the moving wash fixtures, and then the spot style moving head fixtures. Okay, so moving wash fixtures, they are categorized by the ability where they can become more narrow and more wide. Oftentimes they have the ability to color mix. There are variable white versions out there. Okay, you can use these for potentially moving wash fixtures can be used for front light if you wanted. But oftentimes they're great to be used for eye candy and backlight and what have you. Similar as well with the spot fixtures. These have, they're categorized with these stencils called gobos on wheels that can be rotated electronically by the fixture from your software to change out and make the light different shapes, essentially, different breakout patterns. They oftentimes have color wheels as well. Okay. So these are the most common tools to be used for lighting for worship. These are what I would call the right kind of tools. Now, let me say this. A great tool can be used for the wrong application. Okay, so we see this all the time. I see this all the time when I'm consulting with churches, that churches are utilizing a hammer to try to hammer in a screw, or vice versa, trying to screw in a nail. Okay, it's right. It's a good tool. It's a great tool, in fact, but it's being used in the wrong application. Okay, so not to poke fun at anybody here, so sorry if I'm putting anyone on blast, but how many people's live stream pastor looks a little bit like this? Looks like the fourth member of the Blue Man Group. Okay, just poke a little fun here, having some fun, but this is very common. We see a lot of live streams at our company that have people looking very blue, like either like a Blue Man Group character, a character off a cartoon, what have you. All right, so some examples. This is probably one of the most extreme examples I personally have seen in recent memory. This is a live stream at a church. Pastor is looks like my little girl. She loves trolls, and she saw this one time. She's like, "Oh my gosh, Daddy, it's Poppy." I'm like, "No, honey, it's not Poppy. It's someone I'm trying to help." So this is a pretty common thing. So this church here in particular, and I'll show you some other examples here shortly. This church here is trying to utilize color wash RGBW fixtures as their front wash. It's a great fixture. It was a great fixture, in fact, actually, but it was being used in the wrong application. But I understand on paper, oh, red, green, blue, white. This will be perfect for my stage, right? Not always. This is a church that we recommended relocating these fixtures as scenic design pieces, like light up their walls, or do some backlight, and then, hey, consider getting some Fresnel style fixtures with a proper white light. Pretty dramatic, okay? This is the same church the following weekend after that last photo. I kid you not. This church, believe it or not, actually were only able to afford to get two Fresnel style fixtures to light up pastor, like to light up their center stage area. And you can see the right tool here. Massive payout right away, a massive improvement from one little adjustment. Very helpful. Here's another one. Again, Papa Smurf happening here, okay? And then here's the same church again. Here we go. Praise God, with the right kind of fixture, okay? One more. Pastor here, kind of pink. Yep. His shirt matches his skin tone. That's cool. But here we go. Same church again. Okay, this church got the right tool, right? Utilizing the right tool for the application they're trying to use, okay? Now, again, let me say this too. There's always room for improvement. I oftentimes say to the people I speak with, the churches I speak with, that lighting, in production ministry in general, it's a journey, okay? But to encourage you, and something we say very often here at our company, is this. A step in the right direction is a step in the right direction. So don't be discouraged if, oh my goodness, hey, Frank, we don't have the budget to do, a whole revamp of the entire sanctuary. Hey, it's okay. Neither was I. When I was the line director for a multi-site church, we had to make the budget fit for 10 locations. So it was a step-by-step, phase-by-phase improvement season for me to help get lighting to where it needed to be. And a lot of coaching, a lot of training, okay? But a step in the right direction is a step in the right direction, my friend. So don't be discouraged. Okay, so a quick sponsor break here. What can I do now? So you might be asking yourself, or you're like, man, what can I do now? Like pastor looks like a Smurf. Like, what? I want to fix this right away. What do I do? One of the fastest ways you can do that, my friends, is go ahead and reach out to us. So us at Pro Church Lights, I think you'll probably get this from this conversation I'm having today, but myself and the team, we are passionate about serving the local church so you can reach your communities for Christ better. We believe these are tools. These are not idols to us. These are just tools to help you achieve these goals and communicate the gospel more clearly. So email us at solutions@ProChurchLights. And one of the tools that we utilize is called our visual mockup service. So maybe some of you might be watching right now and may have gone through this process. Hey, awesome. That's great. The visual mockup service, in a nutshell, what it is you we send to you a questionnaire. You submit to us some photos, information, try to give us as much details as you can, some hopes, goals, some frustrations, and we make recommendations, create some visual mock-ups to help you visualize and to be able to pray over and think through, hey, what do we want to do at our sanctuary? Okay, so we try very hard to help equip churches with knowledge so that way they can make the best call for their ministry. And this is like one of our key tools to do it. Normally it is $249 for the service, but today, if you scan this QR code, it is $99 for this service. Okay. And it's really great. We have a great team of lighting designers, and I myself personally get to speak into these as well, where we help figure out the best steps for you to help achieve great light in your space. All right. Okay. Sponsor break done. Let's go ahead and I'll just scan it for a quick second longer and we'll move on from there. Okay, now let's go ahead and talk about correct positioning here. Correct positions. Now, correct positions, there are three positions you want to consider, okay? Front light, backlighting, atmospheric lighting. Front lighting, what that is, my friends, it is the light that shines onto the platform to light up the stage, okay? Again, on my camera shot here, this is what's shining onto me right here, okay? And you'll see in the 3D models here that the light is dimming up, lighting up the virtual 3D dummies on my stage here, okay? Lighting them up. So that's the front light, okay? The front light position is visualized something like this, okay? Lighting up the stage like so. It is the fixtures are located typically at a 45-degree angle down onto the subject like so, okay? A quick way you can find that as a quick tip for you is you measure the floor to ceiling height. If it's 20 feet, you go out from the subject's position 20 feet and then straight up, that's where a 45 is at approximately, okay? So a quick tip for you, 45 is what we recommend for front light. Now, this does a great job where it helps to prevent washing out your back screen. It also lights up people's faces well, where there aren't a whole lot of deep, dark shadows in our eye sockets, okay? You'll see that with the steeper angle, you'll see that the shadows are a little more prominent here on the subject's face. And then the more shallow straight on angle, it's a lot more kind of like deer in headlights, like a road to Damascus moment, kind of lighting on the subject. It also blasts out the back wall. If you have a projection screen back there, it might be hard for you to see your lyrics or your sermon notes. Next element is backlight. Kick wash, hair light. It is categorized by this downward light down on top of the subject, like so, lighting up the hair and shoulders, like this. Helps people be a little more visually prominent in the camera and also in real life. It's also a great creative element too. Backlight is also another key element. Front light is top priority, okay? Phase 2 is, or the ability to add in backlight. That's highly recommended to help people be more 3D, okay? Backlight can be spot movers, can be moving wash fixtures. Oftentimes, it could be just a simple red, green, blue mixing light you already might be utilizing at church as your front light. Hey, relocate that as backlight, and you'll be much happier, okay? Backlight, again, hide the hair and shoulders, help people be visually more brought out in front of the camera, okay? A steeper downward angle is what we say. The 10-degree angle, the backlight, that's the position we try to shoot for. A steeper down angle to make sure that the subject gets a lot of nice backlight. It also minimizes how much light gets into the front row, folks. Okay, the final elements I'm a big fan of is the atmospherics, kind of the eye candy part of lighting, okay? So here you'll see in the 3D model, I have these spot fixtures doing this cool gobo breakout pattern behind the subjects here. There's haze going. There is wall wash, another element we call it for lighting up the back wall area there behind the screen. All great tools. When you add these all together, it can really make a really, really beautiful picture for worship here. So you'll see that the front light is the first thing you want to get implemented if you don't have it in yet, okay? So get the right kind of front light implemented is our recommendation. Next, if you can, backlight, but that can be another phase, okay? That could be a 2025 deal. That's something you got to do. And then in just a third phase, the final phase, the kind of the dialing in phase is getting the atmospherics, the eye candy, if you will, okay? All those elements work together to help create this one beautiful picture like snow. All right, correct quantities. All right, so correct quantities. This is kind of a short section here, but I think it's pretty self-explanatory. You want to try to utilize the proper amount of fixtures to light up your platform. We see this all the time where they have the improper amount of fixtures trying to do the work for a very large stage, or yeah, you don't have enough tools to do the job here. So you'll see that there's these pockets of dark spots here. And they're doing their very best at this church to light up the platform, but you see there's some deep, dark pockets of dark. So a pastor feels, yes, kind of getting into the zone, like bringing the word, might walk in and out of dark zone. So it's really important to try to get the proper amount of fixtures to light up the stage, okay? We say many times that the most important thing is to try to make sure, again, pastor, not to pump up your ego at all. I'm sure you're all very humble. You want to make sure that we light up the pulpit. That's the primary area I would humbly submit to you to make sure it's well lit, okay? Out from there, then you can expand out. And you'll notice in the diagram that the ovals here, which represents the washes, we are now covering them. So that way, pastor can walk across the stage without walking into a dark zone, okay? Take this application here, make sure you have enough fixtures where you're doing the job adequately, okay? All right, kick light, kind of kick light, backlight, similar idea. We'd recommend you consider making sure that the pulpit gets a lot of nice backlight, okay? The sermon being clear and distraction-free, that is what I would consider to be the goal here for this technology. Start with 2 if you can, and then expand out, fan out from there to cover up the other areas, okay? Again, try to have a nice little overlap there to allow for nice even wash. Okay, now, intentional programming. Now, this is where the rubber really meets the road, my friends. You have all these tools in play, or utilizing the tools you have. What's beautiful about intentional programming is this can expand and multiply, and you get more and more better results, okay? So some practical things for you to consider is making sure that you are trying to look through the lens of setting up your volunteer teams up for success, okay? One of them being, again, I said it before at the very beginning, but making sure you have the right tools to do the job. So hey, sorry, you can't get mad if the lights are not bright enough for your camera. You can't blame it on the volunteer not able to dim the lights up higher. It's possible you're not using the right tool. Or hey, it's super shadowy. Hey, we got to reposition these fixtures, okay? Also, along with that, on top of the physical tool kind of aspect here, guys, I talk about this to churches all the time, is make sure that the show file for your lighting software is set up in a way that will set your volunteers up to win. Now, Lightkey, this is one of the very common softwares we recommend to churches. It's a really great starting place, okay? We also help many churches. I help many churches with different software such as Vista, MA, Onyx, what have you. But literally this past weekend, I was at a church doing a lighting, and they only had one volunteer that knew what all the key settings were. So he knew what all the percentages were needed for front light, for cameras. They had everything set up for the colors for cameras as well, et cetera, et cetera. This one person kind of taking the Stanley idea of getting hit by a bus. If this volunteer was sick one weekend, they had no one else to run lights, you potentially could be set up for a little bit of a disaster. So do everything you can is my recommendation. Make sure you build out presets that can be referenced for your volunteers. Have specific lighting cues, lighting presets for the sermon that's dialed in for cameras. Have a multi-viewer next to your lighting control software, so that way your lighting volunteer can see what your cameras are seeing, so that way they can help dial in the lighting accordingly for your cameras. Also, Mr. Lighting people, or me might be a video lighting audio guy in this presentation. Do everything you can to make sure that you're balancing out everything in a way that's harmonious, okay? If you have the ability to have an LD on staff at church, Mr. LD, watching this right now, partner with your video director, partner with your camera team. Try to collaborate to make sure that you're getting the images that you want to achieve on the live stream. Okay, now, with all these things together, guys, this is when we get into great lighting. From my experience, this is when we get into great lighting. We see many churches that partner with us that they start with like just normal like recessed can lights, like track lighting, and they walk away with such much better improvements on their live stream, getting the right tools, the intentionality of the programming, the positions, the quantities needed, etc. It's really, really cool to see these ministries be able to reach their communities, but also to reach their online communities for Christ as well. Something that I don't take lightly as an LD for churches. Intentional programming, intentionality can help you achieve some really, really beautiful stuff and build up to something that could be really remarkable. A tabernacle space, something like that. But I'm going to kind of close with this, kind of bring it back home, bring it all back to the focal point of why we do what we do. It's to help facilitate a place where people can encounter God in an authentic way. This is actually at the multi-site church I worked at. In this photo here, I took a photo of this. This is the middle of a terrible snow and ice storm here. We lost power for blocks. So imagine being in the tech booth and you're literally watching your the battery backup and also your career tick down to 0, and we lost all power. So before that happened, though, I got on headset and in the in-ears of the worship pastor here, and literally, to the credit of Pastor DJ here, he didn't drop a beat at all. I messaged him via a headset and said, "Hey, we're gonna lose power in about 1 minute, man." He literally pretty much gave me a wink from the stage, and as soon as power cut off, without losing a beat, he belted out to the auditorium and saying, "All right, guys, pull out your iPhones, Androids. We're not done worshiping." And literally, the congregation pulled out their phones and they lit up the stage because they weren't done worshiping. So I want to encourage you with this thought. Technology is wonderful and it's a tool, but with or without technology, God's going to be glorified. Do everything you can to help facilitate a space for worship, my friends. Don't give up. Myself, I'm cheering you on. Our company's cheering you on here at Pro Church Lights. Keep fighting the good fight, and thank you for what you do. And again, just kind of wrap up here. If you guys at all want to follow up, again, here's that graphic again. Email us at solution@ProChurchLights. Check out the visual mockup service. We think it could be a really great tool to help serve you. Follow us on social media, of course, here. Check us out on Instagram. Yeah, we're really excited about just connecting with folks any way we can. With all that being said, love your lights.
Thank you so much to Frank Chabelle from Pro Lights for Pro Church Lights. And next, we're going to go into PreSonus. We're joined by Richard Gaspard from Fender and PreSonus, and he's going to tell us a little bit about remote audio production. So if you're in the worship kind of section and you're looking to improve audio across the board, this is the segment for you. And remember, if you're watching on YouTube, if you're in our event, you want to make sure that you can join our breakout room, which is exclusive to our Zoom event. So if you're on YouTube, make sure to reach out in the comments. Let us know where you're listening. Maybe let us know what you're interested in improving in your worship, space of worship. So let's move on and talk to Richard Gaspard from PreSonus and Fender.
Hey, thanks so much. Thanks for having me here. Before Frank jumps into the other room, I wanted to give a shout out to him and Pro Church Lighting. You guys may not have caught it, but in his virtual mock-up picture, he was using PreSonus CDL speakers. It's kind of my job to notice those things. But anyway, thanks for the bump that most people didn't catch. But anyway, just want to thank again PTZOptics for allowing me to be here and to present. You know, last year I did the Worship Summit, and we talked about what makes a good live stream sound, and also how to, if you only have one mixer, how to get your mixer to sound good on the live stream while still being used for live. And so I've got a couple of things that I want to show this year, and It's a new piece of technology that just came out with respect to our Series 3 mixers. And I'm going to share my screen here. So forgive me if it gets a little weird looking for just a second. So just a few things that I want to kind of preface what I'm going to show you. Just want to preface this with this. Studio Live, PreSonus Studio Live mixers has had a long line of industry first. And let's just kind of go through them. The Studio Live 1642 was the first digital mixer with bidirectional FireWire interface. So, before we did it, there was no bidirectionability. You couldn't track from a mixer and then come right back into it. And so we were the first to do that with our FireWire mixers. Number 2, Capture, which was the first mixer integrated multi-track recording application. Basically, every Studio Live mixer comes with Capture. And Capture is designed exclusively to work with Studio Live mixers. And think of it as a tape machine. It's just a straight up, you can record, you can do some basic editing, but then you can bring it back into the mixer. Remember that bidirectional interface theme. It's still very much alive today in the USB world with our current Series 3 mixers. But then bringing that back in to do virtual sound checks, setting your in-ears and all of that, working in a room and, before the talent gets there, you can actually, if you have part of the band there, you can run a previous worship set with the tracks of those who are not there with the band members and all. Anyway, a great integrated multi-track recording application. Then UC Surface, originally named Studio Live Remote. This was the first wireless remote mixing application and the first digital mixer control app in the App Store. So, when any of you audio guys walk around with your iPad or your laptop and you're mixing wirelessly, we were the first to create that. We invented that technology, and it's been just a real blessing for in the church world and just venues and audio engineers to be able to use that technology. That's something that PreSonus actually invented. QMix UC, originally named QMix, is the first iPhone Android remote monitor mixing application. So folks who are mixing their monitors, in-ears, or wedges from their phones, again, we were the ones who invented that. And those of our users out there watching today, you've probably used both UC Surface and QMix UC, or certainly you've used one of them or the other. Studio Live Series 3 is the first fully integrated AVB ecosystem of audio products. We get asked all the time why we chose AVB over Dante. And with all due respect, we've got an Audinate guy further along in the presentation, but we made the decision that we could pack more features into our mixers by making them AVB because it's open source and we didn't have to pay licensing fees to be able to do that. Now, with that said, we are Dante capable, and we'll get to that in a second, but we can pack more features into our mixers because we've chosen an open source communication network. And we're not the only ones who are doing AVB. There are several other audio companies out there who use AVB, and we are working actively with all of them to create a standard to where each manufacturer will talk to the other, via AVB. Studio Live Series 3 64S, the first 64-channel digital mixer in the sub 10,000 price range. And it's actually less than 10,000. It's more like 7 when you talk about a fully outfitted 64S with stage boxes. So 64 channels, and this can be used if you need to go over 32, or if you're under 32 or 32 and under, you can do this in a dual layer design and have EQs for your in-ears or your monitors or a broadcaster or whatever. And then I mentioned before about Dante. The AVB D16 was the world's first AVB to Dante bridge. So just because we're AVB doesn't mean that we don't play in the Dante world. You can come out AVB and go to Dante, or if you're a Dante scenario, you can get switched over to AVB. I helped do an install at William Carey University which is in Mississippi, and they had a big Allen and Heath D Live in their auditorium, and they wanted to be able to do streaming and multi-track recording. Well, we hooked them up with AVB D16s to go over into their 64S in their studio. So their live sound is coming from this big Allen and Heath D Live, but then their multi-track recording in the AVB world coming from the Dante world. And so that's a little bit about where, we created things that are industry standards that folks use all the time. Again, PreSonus Studio Live was the first to the punch. The next thing I want to talk about, which is another first to the punch, is Metro. Now, this was created during the middle stages of the COVID world, when live events weren't happening, so audio engineers weren't working. Everyone started streaming, and I say everyone, a vast majority of folks would just pull their PA feed as their live stream. And we all know how that sounded. It wasn't very successful. Now, as someone stated earlier, you got to start where you can, and we're not going to disparage the baby steps as we move along. You can only do what you can do, and any progress is progress. And I got to see from my vantage point. By the way, I'm a veteran ministry guy. I used to mix a live national Christian broadcast. I was a church media director, a very large church in Lafayette, Louisiana for 14 years. I'm one of the bass players at my church. I'm a worship leader. I'm very, very much still a ministry guy. And what was neat, even though I wasn't in full-time ministry when the whole COVID thing happened, it was neat for me to see from my vantage point at PreSonus. At the time, I was their house of worship manager. I got to see all the church guys who were, live audio guys. All of a sudden, they were video engineers, and all of a sudden, they were trying to figure out the streaming world and mixing, for broadcast. And so, kudos to everyone who did that. I mean, it was neat to see, although it was a horrible pressure and it was kind of a rough time. I really want to, say hats off to the church tech folk, because it was legitimately your time to shine, and you didn't disappoint. So anyway, going back to Metro, this was born from that. We had a lot of audio engineers who weren't working because live events weren't happening. We had a lot of people needing to stream, and their live streams were, let's call it, less than ideal. So we developed the technology that would allow you, a user, to control a Studio Live Series 3 mixer over the internet from anywhere in the world. You're going to hear a little bit later from Jake Gosselin. He's not going to talk about our thing today, but he posted a video of this about a month and a half ago, and the video on his YouTube channel is how to mix worship from 1,300 miles away. While they're showing Metro, and I've done a video that's on our YouTube channel, but I want to show you another video here that hang on just a second. Let me stop my share. That I sent to the PTZOptics guys, and we want to show this right now. And it's gonna show how this works, and it's very much in a nutshell. My video shows it a little bit more in depth. The one that's on our YouTube channel, Jake's video on his YouTube channel, is a little bit more in depth, but this is a little bit of a 1,000-foot view of how Metro works, and we're going to see it in real time of me controlling a mixer from across. I'm in Baton Rouge, Louisiana, from across town via the internet. So if you guys can roll that, please do. After we're done with this really cool 80s effect, the infinite mirror.
Difficulty. We'll be back to Richard in just a moment here. Had a little snafu getting his video queued, but Hang on just a moment and we will be back with the video. Sorry about that, Richard.
Oh, no problem. Things happen. The
Just a moment
beauty
here.
of the tech world is that we get to make all of our mistakes in front of people, which is so awesome. And
Hey,
we get
everyone.
to have stuff just
Just going
get
to
to
the
have-
chat to fill the time here. I'm glad to see the pros have problems too, says Gosselin. All right, we're ready to
Nice.
get back into it.
Hey, it's Richard with PreSonus, and I want to show you an exciting workflow built into Universal Control. It allows remote operation of a Series 3 mixer with low latency audio monitoring from anywhere in the world. It's called Metro, and I'm here to show you how it works. For the purpose of this demonstration, I'm at my house in Baton Rouge, Louisiana, and a coworker has this mixer set up at our office, which is about 13 miles away. Now, I'm on my computer, which we'll call the client, and what we will call the host computer is connected to the mixer via USB at the office. The first thing we need to do is establish a connection via our My PreSonus accounts. I can add connections by hitting the plus sign, and then the person I've requested to add gets an email and they accept the connection. And for the sake of time, I've already done this. Now we each launch Universal Control and select Remote Access. At this point, the client, which is me, will request access to the host's mixer, and the operator there grants it. His job is done at this point. I can now monitor the mix from my computer by clicking this gear icon and choosing either an interface or my internal computer speakers. I can also choose an input for a talkback mic, which will then go to the mixer's aux outs. I click the picture of the mixer and I'm in. If I give myself front of house permission, I now have access over every parameter. I can choose to mix the main mix bus for a streaming only scenario, or I can choose an aux bus and make it stereo for a streaming mix while a local operator mixes the main bus for a live audience. But for this demo, I'll select the main mix. You can see the main mix faders moving as I bring them up on my instance of Universal Control over the internet from 13 miles away. This is possible for any remote location as long as there is a solid internet connection. Speaking of connection, I can also monitor my device stream health. I click the menu icon and go to Settings, and then I'll click UC Metro Streaming Statistics. This gives me all the data about my session, including stream health and latency. Now it bears to note here that this is the monitoring stream only. The actual mix on the console itself is instantaneous, and it's sent to its destination locally. Once the session is over, either the host or client can close the mixer window and select the user icon at the top right of the screen next to the connection time indicator. Confirm the end of the connection, and the host's mixer will disappear from the client's UC window. As you can imagine, from broadcast to training to troubleshooting, Metro changes the game on so many levels. And best of all, it's completely free. As long as the host facility has a PreSonus Studio Live Series 3 mixer, you can enjoy all the benefits that this truly revolutionary remote mixing application has to offer. So, as you can see, this is something that we've developed. No one else in the world is doing this. And one of the things, and this says a lot about who PreSonus is. One of the things that was at the forefront of our mind when we created this was the church world. Yes, this is for anyone to use, but we have a very, very large customer base in the house of worship world. And again, I was in that position for 3 years, and
Makeup on?
and so I got to see again how this started to play out in real time, and this is something that we feel is going to really change the game for folks. And here's the cool thing about Universal Control in this scenario is that it's a free app. as long as the host facility, and you heard me say that in the video, as long as the host facility has a series stream mixer, this can be done from anywhere in the world. So if you're a worship pastor or a church media director and you want to up your game on the streaming side, you're no longer bound by having to have somebody come in and do a mix from an iPad in the building or whatever. You could do this from anywhere in the world. If you're an audio engineer who happens to work on Sundays and you do it for pay, I mean, the field is wide open for you in terms of if you find, churches who will pay. You could potentially do something in every time zone on a Sunday morning, sitting in your slippers and mix people's live streams. And I think, from a kingdom point of view, sound is important, and people don't really think about it when they think in terms of video. Is one thing is how it looks, but another thing is how something sounds. If something looks good and sounds weird, then it's not good. If something, and you guys are getting a little peek at my dog Ethel there, she's really excited about the presentation. But if something looks okay but sounds great, it's still quite engaging. And so the thing is, Metro is part of Universal Control. It's a free app. So if you already have a Series 3 mixer, you can do this right now. You can do this today. So a couple of questions came in, and I just want to address them. One person said this is exactly what we use in our church. Thank you for that. Someone said, I couldn't help but notice the video is a 32S board. It was actually a 32SC. Does Metro work just as effectively with the 64S? 100%. We have noticed, for example, switching scenes or running live sound works on the 32S, but not the 64S. I'm just curious as the functionality. 100%. You might want to check and do, you might want to check all of your firmware. If you're having issues, you could log a support ticket. This is for Dakota, who asked that question. So anyway, that's kind of the long and the short of what I wanted to present today. But you can think of this in a lot of different scenarios where this would be effective. This is not just effective as a live streaming device. Think of it this way. If you're a worship pastor, a media director, and you've got a volunteer who does your live stream on a regular basis, well, you can load Capture. You can record your services with Capture. Someone just asked the question, can you hear the live mix remotely? Yes. I showed in the example that I was taking an aux mix. If you solo that aux mix bus, that is the mix that you can hear. It allows you to hear the main mix right out of the box. But if you solo the aux mix you're using, that is what you are hearing. So anyway, going back to what I was saying, if you're a media director, worship pastor, whatever, and you have someone who is your broadcast person, you can multi-track a service via Capture. That person can open Universal Control remotely. You give them permission, like I just did at the beginning of that video. But there's also, if you have Capture open on your mixer, Capture will show up in Universal Control on that on that client device, and you can play the service from the one that was recorded and practice your mixes. So, it's one thing to mix a band, it's one thing to mix a speaker over audience mics, but it's a whole other thing to nail the transition between the two. And again, as I said at the top of my presentation, I mixed a live national Christian broadcast for 5 years. And sometimes there was a band, sometimes it was a person singing with tracks, sometimes we had an ensemble that would sing. It was always in front of a live audience. So being able to do all of that, the transitions, it wasn't enough for me to just be able to get a good band sound. I had to be able to go from the band to the audience response to a commercial break back to the person speaking on camera. And so to get your tech team to be able to practice that off-site on their own time would have immeasurable benefit. and so this begins to be something that's even more so from just a live stream thing. Also, one more thing, if you deal with an integrator, or if you are an integration company, but let's just say I'm a church and I deal with an integrator and I have a problem and I'm outside of my regular service time frame, whatever that would be, and I've got some sort of issue. Maybe I say, like something wrong. I think there might be something wrong with my mixer. I might not be happy with the sound I'm getting. Well, if I'm 3 hours away from my integrator is going to have to drive 3 hours. He's going to bill me for all of that. But if I've got the Series 3 mixer and he's got Metro, I can let him or her log into my mixer from 3 hours away, and he can say, Richard, this is your problem. You're telling me channel 7 sounds like garbage. Well, your compressor is set at -60 with a 10-to-1 ratio, and look at your EQ. You've got 2K just cranked all the way, and you've got 200 hertz dipped all the way. That's why it sounds like garbage. Let me just fix that for you right here. And so we can do that remotely. We don't have to be on site. Dusty Foster said, what mixer? This is any PreSonus Series 3 mixer. So from smallest to largest, the 16R rack mixer, the 24R rack mixer, the 32R rack mixer. And from the console mixers, it is the 32SC, the 32SX, the 32S, and the 64S. So any Series 3 mixer we can do this with. So that pretty much wraps up what I wanted to chat with you about today. And so I don't know if anybody on the panel would want to, if they have any questions that we can talk about live, or if what I've said has kind of spurred on some creativity there, so let me know.
Curious, right off the bat, what is like the biggest issue do you think churches deal with when it comes to audio? Is it, just poor audio out of the bat? Is it low levels? Is it just the consistency of levels throughout speakers? What do you think is like the biggest issue?
I think the answer to that is yes. It's I think we've got a composite of a lot of things. We have volunteers, and I read something a while back. It was Lee Fields, who used to be on with MXU. He mixes for Hillsong, and he was at Bayside Community Church. He might still be there, but he said something about, hey, you're the dentist who runs sound for you on Sunday morning doesn't care about your multiband compressor. And I thought that was so true. Us in the tech world, we get really, really bogged down in all of our stuff, and it doesn't really translate. Like, our volunteers don't really care. A lot of them don't. I think where a lot of churches fall short is there might be a misunderstanding of proper audio procedures from staff members. And so we're kind of already starting with the blind leading the blind. And I don't say that to disparage anybody, because it's a science that needs to be learned. But then also there are a lot of false information. There's a lot of false information out there that I think once we can get educated in proper gain structure, which is probably the biggest one. There's the school of thought that says you put all your faders all at 0, and then you turn up your gains until they all sound right. That's really not the way you run a mixer. You should do it from the gain side of things. All of your gain should be, all of your metering should be consistent, like coming in at -12 or -9 or whatever it is that you choose, to where your faders now start to look like how it sounds. That's how I've always done it as a broadcast guy. I want to be able to look down and know what my mix sounds like before even hearing it, because a lot of what I've done has been live in front of people for the first time. So, I would say it's a composite of all of those things. And I think one of the challenges, when I was a media director, and I used to say it all the time, I had my group of guys. I had 8 camera people, an audio guy, a director, a TD, and when they only did their thing on Sundays for like an hour and a half. And I always said, if I could have that crew for 8 hours a day, we produce a killer television show in a matter of 2 weeks because of the muscle memory and because of things being in your in what you do every day. And there's a sermon in there. If you bring it into spiritual things, you know, you're not going to really grow as a believer if you just spend time with God 1 hour a week. But anyway, I think training and people understanding and then training over the course of time, it's going to take longer because folks aren't there as much. If you're a full-time employee, you're going to learn your job a lot quicker. And my time is about over. I'm going to jump into the other room and I'll be happy to take questions and chat with folks. So I don't want to go over my time. Thanks again to PTZOptics for having me to be part of this.
Thank you so much, Richard. We appreciate your time. Thank you. And Tess, who do we have next?
We have Alan Bunt talking about public domain music. So let's go ahead and spot Alan and get this show started.
Good morning, everybody. Welcome. Alan Bunt from Good Shepherd Lutheran here. Before I get started, I do have a little video to share with you on how we use PTZOptics equipment. And I'll cue that up now. Well, maybe I won't. Forgot to turn something on here. Hang on.
All right, Alan, the video didn't seem to have audio, so I'm going to bring you back on now.
Something happened there. So basic, I'll just describe it here. For
Okay.
some reason, the playback didn't work right, so I was just sitting there
No
quietly.
worries.
Just a little quick video just to show you around using the auto track of myself as I walked around and showed all the different cameras and the positions. So it's just about done here, about 30 seconds left. So I'll go ahead and stop it now and bring myself back. So sorry about that, folks. A little audio issue here. It always happens when you don't test it first. My fault. My goal for today is to present to you, and I got to remember to look at the camera because normally I'm looking at the keyboard, so that's my fault. Are you part of an organization or a congregation that doesn't have an organist or someone who plays music? There are a few of us out here. I am a part of Good Shepherd here, 300-member congregation, and for the past almost 12 years now, I've been called the organeer. I am not trained how to play the keys yet. I'm working on it. But a few years ago, I was asked to, get the organ connected up with a piece of software so that we could at least play hymns on it. So when our organist retired, that we'd just seamlessly fall right in and play the same hymns we've always sang all the time. Well, after that, you volunteered just once. 12 years later, you're still doing it. What I have determined, what I found out is that we sing hymns that are not always in a published hymnal or in a different published hymnal that is not in this particular software. So I had to come up with a way to take sheet music from any source like this, multiple different pages here. And this is the sheet music of the piece that I'm going to show you today. And it's called We Gather Together, or any hymnal. This is our new one. There is not an electronic version of this one as of this speak. There never will be due to copyright issues. My version as the organeer comes in a great big old book, and the pages are huge. How do I get this to come out on the organ or piano? What I'm going to show you today is how we do it on a piano. And let me just bring that up here real quick. And we'll switch it in here. So this little software is called Smart Score 64 Pro. It's from a company called Musitek. And it is available to individuals and to organizations, children, schools, and churches. It's a one-time purchase license. That's pretty much good forever. And the workflow process is quite intensive if you learn it. If you spend enough time with it, you can go through it. But what I'm going to show you today is just something real simple. How we take this, what I showed you on the paperwork there. How do I get that to play on our piano here in-house? I am remotely connected to our computer on our piano, which is across the room here, so that I can do this all from the desktop. So the very first thing we do is I already have a PDF of what I scanned in of that document I showed you in PDF form. And I'm going to go ahead and open that up in this software here. And it's going to start converting it. It's already converted it into a TIF file, which is what the software uses to recognize all the notes and all the symbols on that graph paper, as you can see, show here. So this is the actual picture of those different pages. Very nice and clear. As long as you have a good scan of it, pulling it right off of PDF is really simple. And then we're going to click this little button here, which is software is going to interpret all those notes and dynamics and everything and create a playable MIDI file out of it. So we'll start by scanning here. Do I want to save the connections? Yes, I do. So that document had 6 pages here. We're going to begin recognition on all of them with various options here. If you can suppress lyrics, you can suppress the chord symbols. I'm going to click that one. And we'll start the recognition process. basically OCR, character recognition, and it's going to play it back in what's called a just a second here. We'll get it going here. It does each page separately. And it comes up with a smart score file. Number of systems found, 29. The system is one of these treble and bass clef. And there's 2 parts and 29 systems. And we'll go ahead and open up the smart score file. We're going to basically use the defaults here and unify the key signatures based on the topmost staff. So I'll RAF from the beginning. And now we're going to save it as an ENF file. It's a enhanced notation file is what ENF stands for. Sorry about that. I couldn't think about it for a minute. So basically right now, this is almost ready to play. And what you see it on the top section here is the original. And this is everything that got recognized in Character Act. You notice there are some mistakes in here. Not a problem. I'm going to go through this and show you how we fix them. But first thing we do is click the old play button over here, and you should hear it. And I do have copyright permission to use this file today. I gained that specially. So you notice that plays kind of slow. There's a few mistakes in it here and there. I got to go through and fix these individually. This software, I can actually write music scores with it if I had the time. So we look at this note right here. We've got a problem here of some kind. Wonder what it is. Oh, I think I do. If I blow this up a little bit, you'll notice this note right here has a dot on it. This one does not. So with my keyboard shortcuts, I'll place a dot on top of this note. There, turn it clear. The sections there where it's colored out like that are where timing mistakes, or not the right number of notes per staff. Here's another one. Same thing. What do you suppose the problem is here? You notice there's a dot on this note, which basically is it's a note and a half, dotted quarter note. There's one on this one, but there's not one on this bottom one here. So I'm going to get rid of one of them. So that's basically going to get rid of the dot there. Nope, that didn't do it. Did the wrong one. Nope, that didn't do it. What seems to be the problem here? Well, I need to move one of these so I can see what the problem is. There we go. And now I need to put that note back here in the same spot. Well, you can play around with the notes like that. I don't know, we've cleared that one up. And I'll go through this whole section here and do this. This one I actually have to write a couple of notes for. So we need a quarter note, and we need it to go right there. And I did it the wrong way. And if you look up here, there's supposed to be a dot on that also. It's all a measure of note counts in the measure. And we're also missing an eighth note down here. So we'll draw one of these and connect it up right here. There we go. We'll just scroll through it real quick here. I see a mistake here I got to fix. That should be almost all of them here. Let's see what I've got going on here. I don't know what the problem is. We'll have to play through it there and go for that. So now we're pretty close here. It should play good. So let's say that you have heard this tune before, but you don't know quite how it's supposed to sound. I'm going to open a different file here and compare side by side here. And that's going to be this one right there. So you notice it looks almost identical. This one plays correctly. So this is what this tune is supposed to sound like. So obviously it's much faster. So I got to go up here and see what the tempo is on this one. I could guess at it on this one, but I would eventually get there. So I just go set the tempo of what it's supposed to be. And now it'll play correctly. Now you'll notice here, if I scroll up here, this text up here did not transfer over right. That's the last thing I fixed, so I can tell the difference between this one and this one I have already had fixed. So let me just play through this real quick here, and we'll see if we got some of these issues fixed. I see a problem I have to fix already. So it takes time in the MIDI file for the software to tell the piano which note to play. This is not an audio recording, by the way. This is actually commands that tell the piano which notes to play, how long to play them for, and how loud to play them for. So my particular piano here, it lags a little bit from that. So I have to build in a little bit of timing error in this first measure to get it to accept the file and then start playing at the same time. And I got a little bit of a trick here. I do that kind of like this here. Or I'll add a rest in there before that. Now we have a timing issue, but that's okay. I can fix that. We can just, as written, it'll override that. And then she turns white again. So now when I play it, it'll be correct. So repeat. We already repeated once. And as we go through this, you can kind of see how it plays back. There's different sections here that are kind of neat. I'm not going to play through the whole thing for you. I'm just going to play a certain section here for you. For instance, this set of notes right here. And these are all editable. So I can add sections in, delete sections as I need to. Primarily, we use this to run the piano for choir music. And I've been doing that for almost over 10 years now. There's a key change coming up here. So what we're going to do is we're going to play this part. So as we go along, now part of my presentation here, I've obviously practiced this a few times, and I've done many of these hymns. So I'm pretty good at, as Richard was saying, muscle memory. A lot of these little shortcuts in keyboard, I can whip one of these out in about 5 minutes, usually. Oh, we have another mistake here. I just now caught this. Let's see what the deal is there. We got a signal there. We got to get rid of that. I basically got to go through is I make sure these two match. So we're going to get rid of that. We don't need that. And I got to figure out what the problem here is. Let's see what it sounds like if we just play this section right here. Okay. Not quite sure what the problem is. It sounds okay, so we're going to leave it alone for now. We got another key change coming up here. You notice the software recognized this key change coming up to the different key. And I have a problem here. I know what the problem here is. I put a dot in there. That's probably what the problem back here was. You put a dot in there somewhere. Not quite sure on that one. It plays okay, so I can go all the way through this whole piece like this. Now here, you look up here, I have some notes missing here. That's not correct. So you got to get rid of this. That changes it back white, but now we got to add that note back in. And there's 3 of them here. Ding. Got to make it visible. And then we got to duplicate them. And I put it in the wrong spot. Do you see that? There you go. I can move them around. So now that part will play correctly now. As we go all the way to the end here. And the ending is kind of neat here. So I'm just going to play the ending here real quick. It's the end of the song. Kind of a neat, it's kind of a neat one there. So now that we've got all the notes playing correctly, except for that one little section, which I'm not going to worry about because it seems to play okay. Now we can go up here. Go into our note editor here, and we're going to select this. And we'll fix this. And this is supposed to say joyfully. And this is supposed to say, this is the arranger. And then once I get it done, I can grab it, move it. Now it makes it all look safe. So if we were to go all the way back to the beginning of this, I still have a little minor timing problem that you notice it kind of faulted there. I'm not going to take the time to do that, but there are many different files that I can play. Let's see here. Let me show you one that I play for our choir. Let's see here. And this is one our choir will sing right along with. And I'm actually running the piano for the choir. So you kind of get the idea. So we can, the biggest part of this software that I use is the playback. So this is how we play back. You have to have an interface with your device and the software. Since I have a MIDI piano, it's a Yamaha Clavinova. I happen to use a little USB dongle on it called a USB Uno MIDI interface. It's got one channel, one connection. So it is full duplex. I can also play on the piano and record into the software. I don't use that much because that's quite involved, but I can also use this for organ pieces. I had the same setup for my organ sitting next to me here. And this has taken quite a few years to figure that out. This is actually the desktop on my organ laptop over here. This is a hymn that is in our new hymnal that plays on the piano. Very well known hymn. That's how that sounds. Just to show you what an organ piece sounds like, we'll go into this one's a piece I'm still working on. It's not quite done yet. Now that's playing an organ piece on the piano. Organ piece on the piano. I do have an organ sitting here next to me, so I can interchange them. So for the past few years, if you don't, I've been able to provide music for our worship services and our choral presentations, and for other features. This is one way I can give back to my congregation, and one of my spiritual gifts that I can share with other people around the world in our live stream. As far as I think I've had all the way out to Japan and Egypt. So pretty much that's kind of the end of my presentation. If anybody's interested, I can do a little Q&A if you'd like. And what happened? Oh, I know what happened.
Yo, how's it going, Alan?
Hi, Jake.
There we go.
There's lots of me.
Yeah, getting mirrored.
I didn't do it. Honest.
It was something to do when they added me to the call. It did it.
Oh, that was actually me that did it. So I got
Okay.
now I'm down to 2 now. There we go. Now down to 1. Good to see
Cool.
you, Jake.
Yeah, good to see you too. Yeah, I'm excited to dive in here.
If you got any QAs,
see, pull up the chat here.
Hey guys.
Hey, Paul.
Great job, Alan. We're hearing a lot of awesome comments in the chat, but I'm thinking that you should answer them in the breakout meeting room, and I'll tell everyone to meet you there.
Okay, that sounds good. Thank you, everybody.
Thanks, Alan. How you doing, Jake?
Doing well. How are you, Paul?
Doing great. This summit has been going so well so far. I don't know if you saw, we started in Ukraine, actually.
Yeah, I did. I didn't see the whole talk, but I definitely heard that. I caught some of Frank's talk earlier on lighting. So and some of Alan's here. So I'm excited to dive in.
Awesome. Well, I won't delay you any further, but take it away.
Awesome. Cool. Let's see. I realize I don't need both ears in. Let's do my right ear instead. Okay, guys. Hey, well, thanks so much for having me. Thanks so much, PTZOptics, Paul, and the team for inviting me on. I'm really excited to be here. And I'm going to go ahead and share my screen so we can get my presentation going for you guys here. Let's see. Share screen. Share. And then let's go ahead into this presenter mode here. Present. All right, here we go. So I'll dive in. I'm calling my presentation today the Worship Tech Stack. So if this sounds a little different or off, you'll understand in a few moments as I unpack it. So my name is Jake Gosselin. I'm a dad and husband, founder of ChurchFront. Here's my family. We got 4 kids. We got one who's brand new, just a couple months old. So life is a blast here. We're based down here in Florida. And I've been a worship and production leader for a long time. And then for the past 6-7 years, been building ChurchFront, which is an online resource that's all about equipping the local church and specifically worship and production ministries. You see a picture of one of our team members, Luke. We have another team member, Adam, and then Eric, and then Matt. So there's about 5 of us now who are working on the team. And ChurchFront creates media. So maybe you might have seen some of our YouTube videos before. We have website, churchfront.com, all sorts of free video content, blog content on all things worship and production. And we do consulting for churches. We also have integration services. So like some of our team members are at a church in Atlanta right now doing some install with some AVL out of work at a church there. We got online courses as well. So that's kind of the world that I live in. Is, you know, I am a worship and production leader myself too. I serve at my church here in Florida, almost probably like every other Sunday, something like that. And we're going through a whole bunch of upgrades right now that you'll learn more about in this presentation. So the worship tech stack, what do I mean by that? This is something as I've been learning more about kind of really integration services and kind of understanding what's a solid pathway to improving and upgrading technology in our worship spaces. I kind of like to think of it like a software stack, right? So we are all used to having our iPhone here, and we see the beautiful UI of an iPhone that the engineers at Apple work on, but we don't see a lot of kind of what goes on behind the scenes with these devices. And that's kind of the point of it, right? It's like we, as a user, we just want to use the thing as a tool to accomplish what we want to accomplish. And I think it's similar to worship technology, where what a congregation member experiences in the room when it comes to what they see and hear, or maybe they're not in the room, they're also going to be online, right? I talk a lot about live streaming and broadcast in today's event. That's the UI that they experience. And underneath that and before that UI is all these other things happening in the background with, you know, the different firmware, hardware, all this jargon here to kind of tie the analogy into the software stack. I don't even know what half this jargon means, right? In the same way, your congregation members wouldn't really understand what half the jargon we're all talking about means here today in Worship Summit Live, right? Understanding kind of the stack that goes on. So I wanted to walk through this tech stack and how I'm seeing it today in 2024, because it does kind of keep changing and evolving a little bit, but some of these principles I think are pretty timeless. The problem is there's still a lot of churches that are struggling with outdated gear. Live stream looks bad, audio sounds bad in person and online, and there's just constant headaches and failures. But the solution is going to be a tech stack that treats the underlying cause of issues rather than just symptoms, right? And then it's going to be a simple solution, as simple as possible. I like to think of the best results coming from sometimes the most minimal solution possible to get you from A to B. Just going to make it simple for everybody. And we want to make it easy to operate for volunteers. So this is kind of the world I live in. That's why I want to talk about this today and how it kind of applies to worship technology. And we'll probably briefly touch on some of the things that were also covered in today's seminars, but hopefully I can just create for you a more cohesive picture if you are thinking of making upgrades at your church. Hopefully this will just bring clarity around that and maybe what that next step could be for you and your team. So this is the tech stack. If I were to kind of boil things down into like 4 big elements, you can screenshot this or save this somewhere. We got sound, light, capture, automate. So that's what I think about when it comes to this technology stack that we've got going here. And the sequence does matter quite a bit in terms of just making sure that we, go about these things in the right sequencing. Because this can be a problem where if you try to address certain parts of the stack without addressing the more foundational parts of the stack, then you're going to run into some issues down the road. Maybe you'll end up spending more money than you actually need to. So always start with these foundational issues. So let's kind of work through this in order. And this is a case study of something that's very close to me. This is my church in Florida, Rock Harbor Church. Pardon me as I caffeinate throughout the talk here with my cup of coffee. So we have a Rock Harbor Church. This is a it's a great church. It's a 4-year-old church plant, and it basically a year ago they were renting a space in this old Lutheran church building for the past like 2 years or so. And a year ago, since that older church had pretty much had dwindled to almost nobody attending that church, they came to the decision to sell the building to Rock Harbor Church. And now Rock Harbor Church got a great deal on an awesome worship space and in a great location. And the church just continues to grow. We went from having 1 service in that space to now we have 2 services there. And we're just kind of managing the growing pains of that. It's good problems to have. And the building was old. It's an old building, right? I think it was built in the 70s or something like that. And lots of issues with the building too. You know, the church is having to balance like, hey, do we improve our sound system or do we fix the roof that is leaking or that has to be replaced for $100,000, right? And of course, you're going to fix the roof. If you don't have the building, that's probably even a more fundamental base layer to this tech stack today is the building itself. And then we also have modern worship style, right? We're using a full band, tracks. We run our services, they sound nice and full, not like crazy loud, but nice and loud. And we want to have that modern worship experience in a more traditional space. So we're kind of tasked with how do we move forward with this to make improvements to the system. I'm just going to pull up the chat here, make sure I'm not missing any. The questions. I'll kind of check the questions here once in a while. The tech stack, I will go ahead and put that up if you guys want to just do a quick screenshot. We got sound, light, capture, and automate. And I'll go through these so you'll see them again in a second. Let's see here. So how do we approach this, right? Using kind of my church at Rock Harbor as a case study, I can kind of tell you the story of what we're working on. We start with step 1, which is sound. Like when it comes to technology, you want to make sure people can hear clearly what's going on, both in the room and online, right? And let's kind of dive into the core elements of the sound system. And again, this is like if churches are approaching me and they're like, hey, Jake, our stuff's outdated. We're getting horrible results. Help us fix it. Like this is how my brain works as I'm like helping assess it quickly and start providing them with kind of quick bids on the systems that we're going to want to implement and in the sequence of how they'd want to do it. So for the step 1 up here is like, what's the architecture and acoustics of the room and how do those things affect the intelligibility of audio? Our space being a traditional space, high ceilings, very reflective walls, made for a choir and organ, just no intelligibility. It's very hard for people to understand what's being preached, what's being said, makes mixing a band very difficult. So I don't care how fancy your speaker system is or your mixing console is, when the architecture of the room is working against you, you're going to have issues still. So that's why this is something you want to fix first. Because if you fix this first, you are then going to be able to get away with using maybe some more inferior tools later on with your PA speakers, with your mixing console. We're using very budget-friendly tools when it comes to that part of the system. But it sounds pretty great because we addressed the more core issue that was causing problems, which was the acoustics of the room. Number 2, what's the current state of the PA speakers, amplifiers, and the processor that's sending the right signal to the speakers? That's kind of the next step in the important chain of your audio, kind of reverse engineering back to your mixing console and things like that. But just assessing like, are these the right speakers for the room? Are they getting adequate coverage? And can everybody hear as clearly as they should from the PA system in every single seat around the room? Then audio routing infrastructure. How are we getting audio signal to and from the stage to our mixing console, and then other places around the room to our broadcast mix, our video switcher or our encoder or software, whatever we're using there? How are we getting audio around? And then how do we think about monitoring too? How's our band going to hear themselves? That kind of all kind of falls in my mind, all that kind of falls under the realm of audio routing. Because that's essentially what an in-ear monitor system is for a band. It's just a way to get audio to the right people so they can hear what's going on. And it's very specific audio to them. Then we have the mixing console. So, you know, is it a digital mixing console that has more of the modern tools built into it, or is it analog, which is kind of lacking in a lot of the processing and effects that you can start adding onto it? What's the channel count that you need? How many buses do you need for mixing and processing? How many matrices would you need on a mixing console? And that's kind of the, you know, we could talk about microphones and source capture as well. But when I think through quickly diagnosing the audio layer of the audio layer of the tech stack, these are the 4 kind of big steps in how we assess that and kind of chart a path forward where we want to go next. So here's like a photo of our room at Rock Harbor Church. This was last summer. I took this photo. So this is a stage. So you can see we've got this beautiful stained glass in the middle, wood ceilings, lots of drywall everywhere. This old projection screen that was here. There's another one. Since then, we've actually have 2 projection screens on the sides, and now you see the nice big stained glass in the middle. And then the back of the room, this is all drywall. So just very hard reflective surfaces everywhere in this room, so that the reverb time in the room, like if you were to clap your hands in the middle of the room, you'd probably hear your clap echoing for a good like 4 seconds. And that's just really hard to mix in. So that's something you can do today. Go to your church, clap your hands. Like, is it echoing for a very long time? That's going to be a big source of your mixing headaches that you have. Ideally, you want that reverb time to get down to somewhere between 1 to 2 seconds, because you don't want it to be completely dead. You want it to sound like a live room because you have live music, live singing going on, but it can be really overkill. You don't want it to sound like a cathedral when you're trying to put modern music into it. So our first step was to install acoustic treatment panels at the church. So you can see we have these panels that are now adding absorption around the room, mainly on the back wall of the room and then on the front of the room. We're probably going to do a paint job and stuff like that. Personally, I would have chose a different color of panels and style, but the leadership at the church wanted to go with the most budget option that was available. This is what they went with, and it works good. But what's cool about acoustic treatment these days, especially with Prime Acoustic, which are the panels we work with, is there's lots of great aesthetic solutions there that just look phenomenal. And that just made a huge difference, putting the acoustic panels up. Now we're still using an X32 console. We're still using these speakers on sticks here that you can kind of see. This little, you know, I think they're JBL speakers and subs. We're not getting great coverage, but I'm glad we solved the acoustic issue before we go on to upgrading our PA system. I want to get a Fulcrum PA system installed in here that has way better coverage in kind of our semicircular room. It's going to sound amazing, but it's only going to sound amazing because we fixed the acoustics issues first. All right, so that's number 1 in the tech stack. I know we could talk all day about mixing consoles and stage boxes, but I've only got 30 minutes, and I want to cover the things that are like what are actually causing the issues. Next, let's talk about light. Frank had a great session on lighting earlier today, so I don't want to belabor a lot of these points, but these are the things I think about with a church lighting. Is what are the interior design goals and style preferences, and what are the ambient light considerations? What do you want it to look like? At Rock Harbor, we actually enjoy having ambient light from our stained glass, and we want to have that traditional sacred feel to it, but we still want to have the capability to kind of have some of that modern worship feel to it. So then we had to think through lighting system design, which Frank talked about. Are there front lights, back lights, atmospheric lights? Are we using haze? How do we kind of craft a system that's going to work well? And we actually worked with Pro Church Lights. You can see the video we posted on our YouTube channel this week about how we redid the whole lighting system at Rock Harbor with those guys. Frank is in that video. Highly recommend their lighting services. What are your content display needs? So for me, when it comes to projector screens, LED walls, to me, they fall in the category of light, especially if you're using LED walls. Those are like effectively lighting fixtures now because they're so bright and they really play a role in the lighting design and stage design in your space. But even projectors too, right? This is all light, what we're seeing with our eyes. So that's all going to come into consideration. Like, where do we want to put displays for content? Do you want to use LED walls versus projection screens? Obviously, LED walls are much better for quite a few reasons. And then finally, how do we want to control it all? Like DMX distribution, what type of lighting control do we want to use? I like tools like Light Key, very user friendly. Lots of great solutions out there, but these are just things you want to be thinking about for your light stack within your setup. So at Rock Harbor Church, we were able to make some significant improvements to lighting. So you can see a before and after on the left side. This was like the existing lights that they built back in the 70s, those fixtures, and they're still up there, like, because they're like kind of permanently installed into the ceiling of the room. Maybe someday we'll figure out how we want to remove them. But we were able to work with Pro Church Lights to add the proper lighting to it with their Pro washes, their Pro kicks. Now we have great front light. We've got that backlight and the wall washes that add some really nice color into it. It's really cool what the color does in combination with our stained glass. And I just really, really love the look. Here's a difference of our live stream. Same cameras. We're using PTZOptics cameras here. These are actually the older model PTZOptics cameras. Now we've upgraded to the Move 4K cameras. But big difference in just the clarity of our live stream, having adequate front lighting, great back lighting. We've got the color now. It just adds so much more depth to our live stream. And before, because we had really poor lighting, the cameras were like, the settings, the exposure just looked really noisy and grainy and did not look great at all. So that's step number 2 in the worship tech stack is lighting. So now we talked about sound, we talked about lighting. Now let's move on to capture. Like, how are we actually going to be capturing this all for our broadcast? Just making sure on track with time here. It always fascinates me how long I can talk about these things. So, all right. Number 1, what's the goal of our church live stream or our broadcast? How does that affect, whatever that goal is, how does it affect the camera plot and the different angles we're going to need to capture in a way that's going to translate to hitting that goal that we have? What type of team will operate this video system? So you got to think about these things strategically ahead of time. It's like, okay, do we just want like 1 or 2 cameras to give someone, you know, a decent perspective of what's going on in the room, to be able to watch a sermon video after the fact, you know, kind of participate in maybe singing along with worship as that's being played and streamed online? Do we want kind of a simple setup, or do we really want the engaging setup where, you know, probably the extreme of it is like Bethel, Elevation, Transformation Church? Like, their broadcasts are just like insane. Like, they're just top notch, not even just in the church world, but in the broadcast world in general, what they're producing on a weekly basis and how they stream online, right? So that's kind of the other side of the extreme. So you just gotta decide, like, this is like leadership, theological, ministry, philosophy questions, because obviously the more complicated you want to get, the more resources and investment it's going to take to get there, more team members it's going to take to get there. Because remember, a lot of these cameras too, there's a lot of great cameras out there, but a lot of them will require manual operation. So you got to think about that. How will we route and switch video around the church? How many unique video mixes are we going to need? Another important thing, before you just dive into like buying a bunch of cameras, you got to think about, okay, how am I getting these video signals to and from stage or wherever the camera is in the room to the place where that camera feed is going to be switched, it's going to be mixed, and then where does it need to go to? Like, what, you know, obviously we want to go on, send it online, but we want to have flexibility in how we send video signals to the screens in the room, maybe to the lobby. How do we integrate that with, you know, tools like our presentation software like ProPresenter? Lots of considerations there, and you just want to make sure you have the right video routing solution. It's similar to how you have to have the right audio routing solution as well. And then how do we, or do we need to buy more television style cameras or cinematic cameras based on the style that we're going for? Do we want it to feel like a television broadcast, or do we want to feel more like it's a cinematic production? How or what are the publishing and capture destinations? And what are the post-production workflows? Like, okay, we stream a service, but then what do we want to do with the content afterwards? Like, does it just do we want it to automatically go live in like a video library on the website? Are we just going to leave it on YouTube? Are we going to use these new AI tools to start, creating clips of sermons for our social media posts? So much to consider there. So you've got PTZOptics cameras. We're using this setup here at Rock Harbor Church right now. We're using it over NDI. And for us, because of just the speed of how much we've had to upgrade things and change things, we're kind of still going through the integration process. And it's taking a little bit longer than ideally we want, because we're having to replace our $100,000 roof instead of, update our video infrastructure. But right now we're using it over NDI with a network that's struggling a little bit. So my plan is eventually to use our PTZ cameras over SDI using a ATEM Constellation switcher, which is the one I have here. That's going to give us just way more flexibility in how we're routing video around the room, and just my preferred way of doing it. And then, there's all other cameras like this. We installed this setup for a client in Arkansas. This is a manned camera, Blackmagic, with a servo lens on it. Someone's going to operate it. Image quality looks great because it's a super 35 millimeter sensor. But the cost here, this is like a $10,000 camera rig setup right there, right? So whereas PTZOptics cameras and the controller, which can control multiple cameras, you can get a good setup of multiple cameras there for, I don't know, 5K or something like that. So price and budget, that's another important factor. And the big thing too with PTZ cameras, and why I like PTZ cameras a lot these days, is just the smaller team size you can run with them. So we actually have at our church in Colorado, when we've run PTZ cameras, we have 3 people in the tech booth. One does sound, and that sound console creates a great broadcast mix with the front of house mix. And then we have one person on ProPresenter content. And then we have one person who is moving and switching the PTZ cameras. And it really keeps the team nice and lean. And then finally, in your capture stack, I'd really highly encourage some sort of encoding solution. The Boxcast is my favorite encoding service. And they've got the Boxcast Spark is this new encoder they just came out with. And basically what this does is it's a nice little compact computer that automatically sends your live stream video feed to the different social media destinations or your website. It just does it in a way that looks and sounds great. It's very reliable and it's automated. So it turns on and off when it's supposed to. Nobody has to worry about, clicking on go live or something like that. So that's the capture layer of the software stack. Got 5 more minutes. Okay, let's talk about automation. How many workstations? So I kind of lump taking a software automation here with your team member. Like you want to automate systems of how your team functions. So how many workstations does your team need on a Sunday morning? Is it going to be 3, like I just mentioned at my church in Colorado? Is it going to be 4? Is it going to be more? Do you have adequate volunteers on a sustainable schedule? You want to make sure you're not burning the same people out week after week, but you have a big enough team so that you can rotate through people. How can we automate much of what happens on Sunday morning to reduce error and distraction? You can automate things like lyric slides, lighting cues, when your live stream starts and stops. It can really solve a lot of headaches because these are just repeatable things that happen at the same time. Why have someone, have to worry about clicking a button if the software can take care of it? What standard operating procedures are in place to ensure smooth and enjoyable experiences for everybody? Whether it's operating the Sunday morning and executing it, or whether it's onboarding someone, having checklists at every workstation, just so when someone shows up, they have a checklist of how to fire up a system, how to fire it down, important things to remember as they're operating it. There's so many ways you can develop these standard operating procedures and customize that to your liking. How can we leverage the power of tools like artificial intelligence for post-production and distribution? I use these tools a lot for ChurchFront because we're a media company getting content out all the time, But I also think churches could be using these tools as well if they're trying to repurpose the content they capture on Sunday and distribute online. So these are some of my favorite tools for kind of automating team things, like with Planning Center, automate team communication, scheduling, reminders, make sure people show up on time, right? Using multi-tracks for playback and automating lyrics and lights with MIDI, using ProPresenter for, powering your presentation, as well as it can also be a live streaming software, or using something like Boxcast to be your live stream encoder, kind of in a more robust way, and that can automate the stream kicking on and off. So those are some of the things I think through in terms of automating and equipping our team, both with the knowledge and the know-how through training. That's what ChurchFront provides, but also just the standard operating procedures. Like, we'll teach you how to do all these things in our courses, but then we'll also teach you how to build the standard operating procedures for your own team. It's very custom to the workflows that you have. So yeah, that's it. That's the worship tech stack. If this is how I think about going about these upgrades, sound, light, capture, automate. I'd be glad to connect with you at your church. You can go to churchfront.com. Just click the apply to get started with our program. And what happens there is you'll schedule a call with Eric on our team. He can kind of get the full rundown of your church ministry, your situation. And then especially if you're like, hey, we're looking at doing all these upgrades, he can then forward your file on to me. And I personally can actually take a look at it and be like, okay, like, yeah, this is where I would prioritize first in your upgrades, and then this and this and this, kind of give you a quick kind of rundown of how we would basically go through these things in this worship tech stack with your church before we engage in the program, just to kind of give you some ballpark numbers and kind of a rough roadmap of what that would look like. And then when you start working with us, we dive into the weeds like big time. And that's why we're a little bit unconventional of an integrator. We really want to dive into the weeds and get to know your ministry and maximize what you already have, instead of just being like, oh yeah, here's a bid on a new PA, here's a bid on this, here's a bid on that. Like that, I think it's unfortunate. There's a lot of money that's being wasted on equipment and gear because not enough time is put into the more design consulting side of things with churches. So that's what we're all about. I think that's it. Yeah, that's the end. No more slides. So guys, thank you so much for having me. And I see there are some questions here. I think there'll probably be a breakout room I can hang out in for a few minutes here after the presentation. So we'll chat about those more. Go to churchfront.com for sure to see all the things I talked about. Like, you'll see some of the articles of the exact things I talked about today. Like recently, go to the content page of the site. You'll see the acoustic treatment stuff. You'll see the lighting stuff. That was just this week. Not very hard to find. So just go on there and start searching for it, or you'll see it on the content feed.
Thank you so much, Jake.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks for having me, Paul.
Looking forward to it. I hope you have a moment to hang out in the breakout rooms, and I get to go next.
Awesome.
Thanks, Jake. All right. This is going to be fun. I'm excited. I got the crew here. Tess and John are going to be helping me. This is going to be awesome.
Justin, too.
And who?
Justin with Dante.
Oh, and Justin, yes. So we're going to talk a little bit about auto tracking, and then Justin's going to come in in about 15 minutes and talk about Dante. We're so excited over here to be having some really awesome new features for our PTZ cameras. We're going to be showing off the Move 4K today. But I just want to say, I was going to show our brand new product that is coming out at NAB, and I decided not to.
Okay.
Because I really feel passionate about helping churches, and I know that my church is going to be using PTZOptics blank. I can't say it. So what we're going to do is we're going to go over the Move 4K new features and show them off, because I think it really is something that we've been listening to our customers. And if you have one of our new cameras, you know they have built-in auto tracking. And what's so important to me, and I know Tess really believes in this too, is it's like listening to our customers. So we released auto tracking almost a year ago, and we've gotten a lot of feature requests. Our customers want to be able to track multiple people at the same time. Mm-hmm. Guess what? We can do it now. That was a big one. Our customers want to be able to zoom in and get just the right headroom and just the right shot. Believe it or not, that is tricky to do from an engineering perspective, but we're going to show you that today. And so, like, I just want you guys to know that we do listen to our customers. We're in the Facebook user group. Our director of, our IT director, right? Our director of product, Matt Davis, is in our user group answering questions all the time. And believe me, he's listening to you guys. We have a lot of cool features to show you, and it's all from you guys. So I just want to say thank you. And we are going to have a customer appreciation event in April. So that's our plan. PTZOptics is celebrating 10 years of excellence. We've been in business for 10 years, which is kind of big for a tech company. We are here to stay. We've grown our team, and it's all thanks to you guys. So I just want to say thank you so much to everyone who's helped us. And I hope that when we demonstrate this firmware, which will be available this month, wait, it's not March yet, is it? It will be available by the end of March.
There you go.
March 1st is
this
tomorrow.
month still has one more day.
One more day. Oh, yeah, because it's a leap year.
It's a leap year.
Tomorrow is March 29th, or February 29th. Duh.
That's right.
Forgot about that. Every 4 years, you got to keep out for that leap year.
Extra
that leap
day. Yeah.
All right. Let's jump into a cool demo. All right. So we've got a Move 4K 20X in this studio. And I want to show the software mic because I want to show the new web UI. This is coming to all of our Move 4K customers. We are trying to get as many of these features into the Move SE, but I want to be clear that the Move 4K is our premium product. And so the Move 4K has more processing power, is going to be able to always do more of the advanced things than the Move SE can do. We're trying our best to pack as much we can into the Move SE, but there's a reality that, there's a different chipset. What we're doing at PTZOptics is a lot different than what you'll see on other PTZ cameras. PTZOptics cameras have auto tracking built into the camera. So I can click a button on my SuperJoy, I can click a button on this camera, and it'll start auto tracking. Other PTZ cameras, you should be aware, if they want to do auto tracking, they have to have a software running on a computer, which is kind of the old generation. The PTZOptics Gen 2 cameras that you might have, we do have a free software that we will give you for free that will add auto tracking to Gen 2 cameras. But the new PTZOptics cameras have auto tracking built in, which means you can easily have auto tracking on 2 or 3 cameras and not even need a powerful computer to do it because all of it's happening on the computer. So let me show you guys what we're gonna go over today. This is really, really exciting. We're going to show you guys a lot of the things you've been asking for. One of them is auto tracking. Another is auto framing. And what that's going to allow us to do is to track an entire group of people. The other thing we're going to show, and this is a cool feature here, is the track now. So we're going to be able to zoom into a specific person and track them immediately. We've also got composition, so we can have the subject in the center, the left or the right. We can have tracking sensitivity. And then we're going to show dynamic zoom here, and that's one of my favorite features. What this allows us to do is to dynamically zoom in and out during an auto track. So let's go ahead and start auto tracking here. And one of the things you're going to see here is it's already recognizing that there's 3 people in the frame. Let me just merge this out a little. You see these little boxes right here? We can see that there's 3 people in the frame, and you can actually choose the person you want it to track. So there's a little number over me. I'm 1, Tess is 2, and John is 3. So I'm going to choose myself by clicking preset 1. And so now I have selected myself as the auto tracking target. I'm going to put on my wireless microphone here so I can start to walk around and show you guys how this works. Now I have dynamic zoom on. So what that allows me to do is to let Mike, my producer, choose how much zoom we want or we need. So the auto tracking's on. And I'm going to ask Mike, maybe I'll come over here a little. I'm going to ask Mike to zoom in on me a little. And he's able to do that. He's probably got a lot going on right now back there. He's doing a live stream. But see, now we can kind of start changing the framing of our auto tracking. I mean, how cool is that? So if you're a pastor, you're a worship leader, and you want to be the focus, we are giving you the ability to zoom it in and auto track a specific person. So if you have 2 PTZ cameras, you can have one camera tracking the pastor in head to toe from one angle, and then another camera tracking the pastor at like a head and shoulders like this. So this is really, really cool, and it's exciting. It works, right? It's tracking really, really well. It's not going to lose me. But now you can see I've got this wide angle, right? Now you can see the audience. Now you can see the stage. Still tracking me just fine. But Mike's got the ability to easily zoom in and out. And you can do that with a joystick controller, right? So I could take this joystick right now and zoom it in a little if I want to. Still tracking, right? So from a producer standpoint, you can really have some nice control. And we're adding more and more features to this. So I want to just dig into it a little more and explain that when you work with PTZOptics, not only are we listening to you, not only are we building these products with you from your questions and really from your advice of what's going to work for you, but we are continuously adding features to these cameras, continuously working on the firmware. And these cameras have a 5-year warranty. So for 5 years, these cameras are going to continually, you're part of our family. You're part of the team here. You can join the Facebook user group and we'll listen to you, we'll connect with you, and for 5 years, you get the educational support. It's really lifetime support, honestly. We will support you for the lifetime of the product, but for 5 years, if anything goes wrong, we're going to be there to fix it for you. So let's zoom this baby out, which I think is pretty cool that I can do that with my own joystick right here. Mike can do it from his web interface. And I want to show you something that I think is even cooler, and that's auto framing. Now you'll notice something that's even more interesting is that we've turned on auto framing. All right, so now all 3 of us are going to be in frame. This is cool. So if we're close together, it's going to zoom in on us. If we move apart, it's going to zoom out. So let's imagine we're in like a play scenario, right? And maybe we're moving over here a little. There's a play going on. It's making it feel like, and by the way, we can adjust the sensitivity, right? How much do we want it to respond? But we're moving around, things are happening. The camera is making it feel like there's a real camera operator operating the camera when you have multiple people that you want it to focus in on. So now think about this for a second. Let's say you're the star of the play test. We've got one camera zoomed into you, tracking you the whole time, just the way we want it. Then we've got another camera automatically framing everyone, right? Now you can have one volunteer. They don't even need to touch the cameras. There's always going to be one following the pastor. There's always going to be one that is framing all the people on stage. And they can, of course, still take manual control. So this is a cool feature. I mean, I am so stoked to start using this kind of thing. And whether you want the whole band to be on stage. So now let's all sit down on the couch for a second and just see what happens. And look at that. It's just gonna pull us all in. Now if I go sit over at my desk, it's gonna move over to here. That's how this works. And it's literally that cool. This is working. Now it lost me a little because I'm hiding behind this space over here, right? You can't see through walls.
But you could see how it immediately refocused on the next available group, right? Which is incredible.
It's so great. And so I'm stoked. Now, these cameras, as you know, we have options for NDI, but we also have now options for Dante. And Dante is used with a lot of houses of worship to manage their audio. So we're continuing to try to bring you guys the latest and greatest with also still being one of the most affordable options available. So there's a reason why we're so popular with houses of worship. not only are we dedicated to working with you guys and having educational events and having a support team in the USA who will pick up the phone and help you, not just on your PTZ camera, but your workflow and the things that you're working on. And we're partnering with folks like Jake, right, from ChurchFront, like Frank from Pro Church Lights, and really helping, organizations do a good job at spreading the message of God using live streaming. So we're passionate about it. It's what really, makes us happy and excited about doing what we're doing. And other than that, that is really what I wanted to show. This firmware is coming out soon. We're going to have firmware for the Move SE soon. We're going to have a really exciting launch at NAB, which is in April. And then I want to invite everybody to a customer appreciation event. It's going to be at the end of April.
End of April.
At the end of April. And we want to give all of our customers and people we work with early access to some of the coolest stuff we're working on that, quite frankly, came from you all. So thank you so much. We appreciate you working with us and being part of this event today. What did I miss, Tess?
I think that's it. You're going to head into the breakout room to cover some questions?
I will personally, yes. I will go into the breakout room to cover some questions.
Yeah.
I'll let you guys introduce Justin, who's going to talk about Dante, which I do think is very exciting. We've had an awesome event. There was one other thing that I was supposed to show. Mike knows this about the Superjoy. But I don't have to, but I can if you want. But essentially the Superjoy here is able to turn off and on auto tracking. So I can click a button and turn auto tracking on and off with a button. So I'm really excited about that. The Superjoy, as I was showing, allows me to also use the auto tracking and zooming. So I can actually use a Superjoy controller to zoom the camera in while it's tracking. So it's really intuitive. If you have a Superjoy or a PTJoy G4, you can start and stop auto tracking. There's even a button on the top of this joystick and on the PTJoy G4. You can click it, it'll start tracking, or you can click it to start framing. That's newer. I don't know if that's released yet, but I have seen it. So start and stopping tracking. And these are the types of tools that make it easy for a volunteer to, I need to position the camera, call a preset, which is the camera will zoom directly into a specific space that you want it to go quickly and easily. So volunteers now can operate multiple cameras from a single space. Jake was talking about that.
Mm-hmm.
It's intuitive, right? It's a joystick. It's exciting for the younger generation that we're trying to get more involved in, worship ministry and volunteering. We've got the auto tracking, which is going to make, smaller teams able to do so much more. The auto framing. So if you're a house of worship who's saying, hey, we do want to do more plays, more productions. We do have musical things. We have younger students who want to get involved in, unleashing this type of technology. A, it's spreading the message of God, which is a core, that's what we're trying to do at houses of worship. But B, this is opening up a lot of opportunities for, worship leaders who want to do a little bit more, for moms groups to spread their message.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of moms out there that need help. There's fathers that need help. I mean, all the things that the church does, this can be a way to click a go live button and get someone to walk into the church. That's just the one thing I'll leave you guys with, because we got to let Justin on, is I think we all realize now, after the past few years, that live streaming is not going to keep people from coming in. It's going to bring people in. It's getting on social media. It's getting the attention first and having people realize there are so many people that need our help. They really do. Whether it's mothers, whether it's fathers, whether it's people in need. And it's our job to reach out to them. And so this is going to help. And it's going to be exciting, and it's going to be fun for the volunteers. And it's fun for, I think, everyone involved. So let's let Justin come in. I'll let you guys introduce him, because I'm going to run right to the networking room.
Thank you.
And answer any questions that people have.
Okay, thank you so much, Paul. Up next, we have Justin Alquist joining us, representing Dante, talking about using Dante for worship streaming and audio workflows. So Let's go ahead and bring Justin on.
How's it going, guys? Just double checking you can hear me out there. All right. Can you guys hear me? Anyone? Hey, hey. All right. Well, okay, cool. So yeah, my name is Justin. I'm one of the technical trainers here at Audinate, and we created Dante. So I'm going to walk you through kind of a crash course on what Dante is and how we now have a video platform available. So let me share my screen. Cool, guys. So let's talk about Dante for the house of worship. So for starts, what is Dante exactly? Well, Dante is a network protocol basically, and it's a simplified, scalable, and interoperable platform for managing and distributing networked audio and video signal everywhere. But what does that mean exactly, guys? Because that's a lot of big words. Let's kind of break it down on what actually Dante is and how it kind of works. Well, for starts, what did we do? What happened, right? Let me just move this out of the way. So basically, what Dante has done is Dante has replaced that point-to-point connection. And what I'm talking about right now is basically straight from our certification program, which I'm going to talk about later at the end as well, so you can learn more. But basically, before, when we would connect things together on a stage, right, we'd have a console and we have a stage box, and we connect it with a big analog snake cable, kind of a fan out on one side, fan out on the other side. And it was kind of a point-to-point connection, a one-to-one connection. Well, things kind of advanced and, things kind of evolved. And obviously, technology evolved, and we got something known as a digital snake, replacing that analog cable with a category cable. But still, we have a point-to-point connection going on. So what does Dante do? Well, Dante is going to replace that point-to-point connection, and let me show you how this works. Every single device for your Dante network needs to be Dante enabled, and to know if your device is Dante enabled, normally on the back, you'll see a little Dante port. So right here, let's say we have a stage box that's Dante enabled, a console that's Dante enabled, and to connect these together, we can use a network switch, connect that together, and now I have a Dante network going on. But you're probably thinking like, hey, that looks exactly the same. I just threw a network switch in there. But in reality, we can now grow our Dante network using that simple network switch. So I could throw up a microphone that's Dante enabled, patch that into my network switch, and I'm now starting to grow that, right? And then I can even take that as well, maybe have some Dante enabled speakers and grow that even more. And then if I needed a computer for some backing tracks or some kind of like playback system, I can tap my computer in that and route my computer to my my mixer, my speakers, and anything like that. Or let's say you have an overflow room, right? You can also just have a simple Dante network in this overflow room, patch that together, right? Now I got a speaker and a network switch. I can just connect these two network switches together with something known as a trunk line. And I'm now can route all my devices in this area to the overflow room. And on top of that, that's just audio, right? We can add video to that too. So I can take a camera that's Dante enabled, patch that in, and route it just to wherever I need it to go. So with that, to route all these devices together, we use something known as Dante Controller. And Dante Controller is just a simple program that allows me to route my devices with a single click of a button, right? And with that, being able in Dante Controller and being able to route inside of it, we do not need to change any physical cables anywhere around it. We can just click and it goes to where we want it to go. To get your devices into Dante Controller will actually automatically discover these devices. You can then name your devices. And if you were to take a device off the network, patch it back in, it would remember all of those settings as well. On top of that, you can split the signal. You can take a single signal and route it to multiple places with something known as multicast. So you won't need to use multiple cables to take one device to go to two places. You can just do it straight in Dante Controller. And if you were to have, say, someone come into your area and start changing things up, you can actually save a preset to recall later on or bring to different settings as well. So you can always recall things, which is pretty cool. To run a Dante network, we just use a simple Cat5e cable or better. All devices use the same cables. Before using that, we would have a big mess like this at times, right? Basically, all your TRS cables or your your XLRs, banana clips, SDI, all the cables be all different, right? But with a Dante network, it's the same cable all around. You can make it look clean and nice and just have a simple infrastructure everywhere. So basically, before we had video, we were the defactored network audio standard that they used out in the industry, right? So with that, we would send audio uncompressed across the network, and we could go up to 192 sample rate and 32-bit quality. But of course, that will be dependent on the manufacturer. We also are tightly synchronized, so everything is clocked in time. And then we also have extremely low latency. And then on top of that, Dante is used around the world for top productions, concerts halls, professional live tours, in churches, in hospitals. Like we're everywhere. If you see a network, they're probably using Dante. On top of that, we have Dante Virtual Sound Card, which is a software that allows you to take your audio and bring it into computers, or take your computers and bring it into your devices. So it's great for, DAWs and live sound settings and just kind of routing audio from a device. So the benefit of using Dante, right? If you kind of just break this down real quick, we basically replace that point-to-point connection, right? So basically, with a network solution, we can route it anywhere with a click of a mouse, and then we can split a signal, and we're all using the same common infrastructure, and we have software to route this around. With the point-to-point connection, linear, we'd have to move cables physically if we needed to change something, and we're limited by what we can do with that single cable. So let's jump into the video portion now. Because I just talked all audio, that's what we've been doing for, I think we've been around since 2006. So now we brought in Dante AV, which is our video platform that came out about 2 or 3 years ago. So we're really growing there now as well. So let's talk about this. Before, when you would have a video platform, you normally have your video and your audio separate. With Dante AV, we're now a single network running on the same infrastructure. So with that, we have a couple different flavors of Dante AV. We have Dante AV Ultra, which is our high performance solution, extremely low latency and visually lossless quality of video. On top of that, Dante AV Ultra is our chip-based platform. So we have chips inside of all of our devices that allows it to connect to the Dante network. But we also have Dante AV H, which is a software solution, has lower bandwidth, and it's actually more cost effective, and is actually what's used for streaming and overflow places and things like that. On top of that, all of our Dante AV devices are instantly compatible with all of our Dante audio devices. So basically, if you have an HDMI source coming in with a video and audio signal, you can take that audio, route it where you want it to go separately than our video. So you can make that audio from the HDMI go to any of your Dante audio devices. With the Dante AV devices as well, to make them talk to one another, they're going to have to use the same codec. They're interoperable between manufacturers, so you can have the PTZOptics camera talking to a decoder from another company. But the way that they get to talk to one another is they need to be the same codec. And something that we really strive for is we try to get over that 1 gigabit Ethernet link. And with Dante AV, we're able to do that. On top of that, we use the same routing tool to route our video, Dante Controller. And like I was saying, we have independent control of our audio and video. So I can take my audio signals, route it to where we need to go, and my video signal, route that need to where to go. So there's not a video software out there. There's not an audio software. It's all contained into one unique location. And then on top of that, to just to kind of see what is video and what is audio, we have these little symbols up here now that are kind of new with the Dante AV setup. So we have our headphones for audio and this little playhead for video. On top of that, we have remote management and monitoring to help control the network to make it secure. So basically, we have Dante Domain Manager, which is our server-based system, and Dante Director, which is our cloud-based system that actually is in beta right now and free to use. So I highly recommend going online, downloading the beta, and checking it out if you do have Dante devices. And again, it just helps secure your network to make sure only certain people can access your Dante network at times. So where would we use Dante AV, right? We have these video products, but where are we going to use them? just like we had Dante Virtual Sound Card, we also have something known as Dante Studio, which is the video version of for video devices, the video version of Dante Virtual Sound Card. So Dante Studio allows us to take the video devices and bring into things like Zoom, OBS, vmix. I'm using Dante Studio right now to bring my camera into Zoom right now. So it's pretty cool. And everything I'm using right now is a Dante network. My microphone, my speaker behind me, all connected on a single network. On top of that, you can send your feeds to overflow spaces, classrooms, and things like that. Audio can be sent to be installed on any of the Dante enabled speakers, and then we can use Dante Studio to view those video outputs and things like that. And then we also have hardware for our Dante AV-H devices that are now in production and going to be out soon. So you can take your video and bring it to like projectors or bring it to screens or anything like that. So on top of that, if you were to use it in a church, you could basically drop a decoder at a projector or a screen and put on some, some lyrics to songs or some still images or anything like that. And if you were to use a multi-camera production, basically what we've done is we replaced that SDI infrastructure. So you can have some of your cameras that are Dante enabled, put them into the network switch, bring them to the decoders, bring it into a vision mixer if you want, come out of the vision mixer with an encoder, pop it back in, and you could just start routing your devices simply. And on top of that, you can grow even larger. As you can see here, could be a simple production setup, all Dante enabled, your live cameras, front of house, video control, overflow, sound system. Basically, it's all a network. They're all devices, and we just replaced everything with a simple network cable. So in short, if you want to learn more, I briefly mentioned this. We have the Dante certification program. It's free online. It's pretty much the standard of Dante networking. We have the level 1, the level 2, and the level 3. That's kind of my main job is I teach those on webinars. We have webinars next week that are free to attend if you want to join in-person events like at NAB or NAM or Infocom. And then, yeah, everything also is in video format online too. So you can check it out there and watch at your own convenience. And with that, guys, I think I'm right on the money, right on the dot. So thank you for your time.
All right. Thank you so much, Justin. That was a great presentation. Next up, we have Nick Marzak of Full Compass to talk about worship technology. I just moved Nick into the webinar, so you should be able to grab Nick and start his presentation.
Excellent. Thank you so much for that introduction. My name is Nick Marzak. I'm here with Full Compass. You might have heard of Full Compass, or you might have even purchased gear from us before, but who are we, right? We're basically an online major retailer for all things pro audio, video, musical instruments, lighting, and houses of worship. So all of those things are under the House of Worship blanket. And this is a worship seminar, so the goal is to reach people, right? But what we want to do is be the resource that enables you to accomplish that goal. So I'm not going to sit and ramble about providing expert consultation on, complicated audio, video, and lighting systems that you might use in your church, or free shipping on orders of over $50, same-day shipping on most items, and all of the other, marketing bullet points that they want me to list that we do, because we do all of that. We have expert consultation and free shipping on orders over $50 and same-day shipping on most items. But instead, I want to queue up a video of Chad Buckland, who's our good friend, and he's from Worship Leader Hangout. So he recently created a video that showcases the value that you get when shopping with Full Compass. So if you can cue that up, that would be awesome.
So I want to do a test and make sure some of this stuff's going to work. And the way I'm testing it is with my computer kind of acting as the ATEM or the computer that we're using for ProPresenter, going to exactly what this is going to go to. We're actually deciding to run SDI from our production room to the projector But we got to convert that over because we're not running directly out of a deck link like we probably should be. We're running out of the ATEM so we can use that little side panel that I've showed you guys. So I'm running the computer to the HDMI to SDI, and then SDI cable to the SDI to HDMI back to the projector. And I want to show you guys the differences between the image. That is our current image. Do you want to do the honors?
I can. I will.
So I'm going to pick this same image here. All right, so this is going to be running to the projector now. So just gently slide that off. Oh my gosh. All right, put it back, put it back. So this is our old projector, and go with the new one. And that's our new one right there. Wow, people. Put the old one back. Go put ProPresenter on the Christmas ad.
Let's do it.
All right, you ready?
Let's do it.
Here we go. Let's see what this looks like. Oh yeah. Cover that back up. I want to show them something. Okay, check this out. You can kind of see some of the grain in the image itself, and you can see the blue from the lights casting sort of a wash on there. Go ahead and turn the projector to black.
All right. Holy moly.
And you could see the difference up close. You could see the grain that's in this ad on purpose. You can see the little details of this image that you couldn't see before. I mean, these pictures are just so much better. I mean, it does have an LED wall kind of look. So again, I like to test before we actually put this thing in the air. So we know it works. We know it works with how we're going to set this up. Now it's just time to fly this beast. You ready?
Let's do it.
All right. The projector's installed. As you can see, it looks so much better than the old lamp projector. We've actually used it a couple Sundays in a row now, and I mean, what else is there to say? It's just a lot better, a lot brighter, a lot clearer, a lot more sharp. So I'm very excited to have it. Thank you so much to Full Compass. They really helped dial in exactly what we need for this project. It's a lot different than just a normal company where you just get online, order what you need. Like, they have great customer service that like knows about the stuff, so that way you can ask questions, and if they don't know the answer, they're gonna find out for you. It's just that personal connection that you have with them. You don't have to do it that way, but it's great to have that when you need it. So the very last thing I want to talk about is cost. The projector retail is around $13,000. The mount was about $500. The lens was about $500. The connections, those little ends, that bag, that was like $90 for the whole bag, but I think I used about $20 worth. The cable was almost $200 total. So we're looking at quite a bit of money to make that happen, but it was such a needed thing for us because we were using a projector that was already almost 10 years old, really. I'm excited to be able to have this up for a little while, and maybe next time when we do a display conversation on this channel, we'll be installing a wall. I don't know. It might be a while though, because how much we just spent. Or maybe we can talk about something like that at another church. Thank you so much for your time and watching this video. If you have any questions about anything, feel free to ask.
Okay, so in that video, we kind of got a glimpse of the actual benefits that churches and houses of worship are getting when working with Full Compass. Chad did a great job of walking through, an upgrade setup, but we do everything from upgrades to full in, the equipment for full installs, anything like that, and we are able to be consultants on that as well. But it still doesn't answer the question of who is Full Compass really. What are we about? And Chad Buckland, again, had the same question. So he actually decided to come to our headquarters in Madison, Wisconsin to tour the warehouse. So that's another video. If we can queue up, we would love to show you.
I have made my way all the way from South Carolina to Madison, Wisconsin, where we're gonna go on a deep dive tour, behind the scenes, whatever you wanna call it, of fullcompass.com. This is the headquarters. We're here, we made it. Let's go through these doors and meet my friend Nick. He's gonna show us around and let us meet all kind of great people. What's up, man?
Chad? How's it going, man?
It's going good.
Good to see you. Yeah,
So we're at
absolutely.
Full Compass.
We are.
We made it. Finally here. You're real.
You're real. I know. I've only
This
ever
is
seen
great.
you on screen. This
Exactly.
is fantastic. Full Compass is a cool company. We started it actually started as a recording studio back in 1971. Jonathan Lipp, our owner, started selling audio video equipment as a dealer in 1977. And then his wife, Susan, joined. And she had a big background in marketing, theater, personnel management. And so that dynamic duo really grew the company into what we are today.
Okay.
We saw rapid growth from that point. And it's still family owned today, which is super special, and you don't
That
see
is
that
cool, yeah.
often. And something else that's really cool, Jonathan, our owner, he's an audio guy. He loves gear.
Yeah.
And as you can see, this is Jonathan's own personal museum, if you will.
Yeah.
This is all gear that he had acquired over the years.
Oh, wow.
It's just fascinating, so much history here. And as you can see, he's a big gearhead, and that's what makes Full Compass so special. Our owner knows the product, he knows the gear, he's
Wow, look at all
super
this stuff.
instrumental in guiding, where we're going, what we're focusing on.
Clearly, this is Worship Leader Hangout. So we got to talk about why Full Compass for the church. I guess.
Absolutely. Yeah, so it starts with our broad assortment of gear.
Yeah.
We sell everything from, wireless microphones, in-ear monitoring, mixers, projection, LED video walls, everything you really need. And something that, lots of people don't think of with Full Compass is we've got also backline gear. We've worked with a lot of brands like Yamaha, Nord, Roland. There's some of our key brands that we work with. And it's also, our service and support. We have an incredible service team. They do repairs, free 2-year repairs.
Oh,
so
wow.
if you've got gear that's, you're having problems with, you can send it. And they service over 40 of the most well-known brands. And then we also have free same-day shipping on most in-stock products as well. So you get the gear that you need, and you get it quickly.
That's cool.
So that drum kit is the Roland VAD 507. It's an electronic drum
nice.
kit.
Oh, wait, hold on. That's electronic?
That's electronic.
Let's check this out.
So I know a lot of houses of worship want that acoustic look with
Okay.
the electronic, functionality, so your sound guy can actually control your mix. We did just bring on Absen LED
Yeah.
video walls as well, so they're a
Absen, okay.
new partner of ours.
And y'all sell the staging, I guess?
Yep, we do the staging as well.
Here's your podium. So whenever you want to feel important, do you just come up here and just start talking?
I just stand up here and
good.
feel very important. It's my boost for the day. Yeah.
Yeah, I think what we're going to do at our church is we're going to get some of these barriers for the altar.
Yeah,
She's like,
you
hey,
gotta
no,
keep
the altars
people,
aren't open yet.
Right. And then you pull it,
we'll open.
they'll flood down.
Yeah, exactly.
That's awesome.
All right, we're open now. So now where are we going?
Yeah, so I think one of the big important parts is I want to introduce you to some of our sales experts.
Absolutely.
The people you call in and talk to on the day-to-day basis.
Yeah,
so,
that's good. All
yeah,
right, cool.
absolutely. This is the sales floor.
They're talking to people right now.
This is Chad Plogaman, the Director of Sales.
Hey, how's it going? Devin Weiland, one of my national sales reps.
John Baer, another national sales rep.
Hey, I'm John.
Who's the guy next to you? Wait.
Yeah, I don't know. I had nothing else. End of the
Y'all did
line.
that so good.
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit about the sales department at Full Compass. What makes it different maybe from others?
Yeah, I think here at Full Compass, I've got a national sales team of about 40 people that are serving customers literally around the country, specifically in the house of worship space. We've got folks like myself that serve on a worship team every Sunday, guys like Devin that have spent a good chunk of their lives running live sound in the house of worship space. So the biggest thing for us, I think we work in a very transactional type industry, or an industry that has the ability to be very transactional. We just sell you this, a wireless system, a speaker, a lighting fixture. I think at Full Compass we take it very next level, and we really want to kind of get behind what each of our customers is thinking about. We want to understand their needs. We want to understand their level of expertise and really make sure that we're kind of speaking to them where they're at in terms terms of what it is they need. And that's where guys like Devin and John are just experts at what they do.
Alarm will sound.
That's right. We don't want the alarm to sound.
Oh, employees only. I can't go through here.
You're backstage now.
Okay, that's good.
So this is the warehouse here.
Nice.
80,000 square foot warehouse that actually runs beneath us as well. We're heading on down to the warehouse.
Okay.
So you're going to meet Keith Post.
Keith Post?
Yeah, he's our VP of operations. So
nice.
Absolutely.
Not Daryl?
Not Daryl.
Damn.
Dude, look. Oh, oh, oh. We'll get somebody to clean that up.
We're the ones that got to clean that up.
If it's not Daryl, then I don't want to go.
Well, sorry.
Keith, we got Keith.
We got Keith.
We got Keith.
Keith is a good guy. Here's Keith.
What's up, Keith?
Hey, Keith.
Hello. The warehouse generally is laid out in kind of the way the work flows.
Okay.
So we'll kind of follow the path of product as it flows in through receiving. And so you'll see there's 4 overhead receiving doors here. Comes in the door. This is the stocking areas. So the product will flow in. If it's not for a back order or cross stock, it'll flow into stock. This is the high bay warehouse right here. Obviously larger product. Again, grouped by type and by vendor. So you'll see speakers grouped together. You'll see amplifiers grouped together and so on and so forth.
Yeah.
And it's a very straightforward layout, kind of like street numbers, odd and even.
Yeah. Oh, I see that, yeah. And then I like the labels there too. That's great.
The closer we get to these main aisles, this is typically faster moving merchandise.
So if you order something from Full Compass, it's coming through here. This is where it's coming through.
Coming right through here.
Right
and
here.
again, we're a same day service house. So if your order goes in today, if it's in by 2:30, it's going to ship today.
That's amazing.
This right here is kind of the central hub. This is where picking is controlled from, and so they can release orders, look at the orders, assign the orders for picking. You can see the product is put onto carts as they go out to the shelving to pick them. Get staged here, brought over to shipping, and these are the folks.
Can we see what city that's going to?
Yeah, we can take a look here. Hartford, North Carolina.
Hartford, North Carolina.
Yep.
Awesome.
So as they process their shipments, they go onto the conveyor. The conveyor feeds it around and kind of sorts the product. There's not a lot on the truck yet, but it just all goes in. This will be loaded onto the floor. This truck will be full by the end of the day, if not before that.
Here it comes, Joel.
Yeah, yeah.
That's great. The disco balls.
Yeah.
Did somebody return a disco ball? All right, where are we going now?
All right, we're going to go say hi to the pickup counter, because if you've got an order here locally, this is where you come pick it up.
Nice. Whoa. Hold on now. What is this?
So yeah, we sell a lot of various cables and connectors, and so
I like how you have a display of like all these different
Absolutely.
cables, connectors,
various types. Yeah, we sell a lot of parts actually, which makes us very unique because we stock a lot of parts, and so a lot of your if you're a guy that does a lot of soldering himself, you can order different connectors, bulk cable. So we sell a lot.
Somebody's got to do it.
Right, you got to. Yep.
That's cool. All right, where are we at?
We're just at the pickup counter. We're saying hi. How's it going? So this is just where you come pick up your orders locally, if you're local. I apparently don't have access,
You don't have access.
for that one, but this guy does. You gotta be important. I guess I'm not important enough. All right, here we go. So this is our rentals department.
Okay.
So we serve
So
a
first of
lot.
all, Full Compass does rentals.
We do rentals. Yeah, we do. I mean, locally. So we service a lot of different various events here locally. You know, audio, video, lighting solutions. These guys are busy, so we've got all sorts of gear. Obviously, lots of cables. Got a bunch of lighting back over here. Cases, everything to keep things protected.
This is every tech director's dream.
That's right.
Storage facility.
Yep. Speaker
Sweet.
stands and.
Load it out through those doors there.
Yep. You just back up. We'll load it up. Well,
Repairs
hello there.
there.
Hello. We're just saying hi. Here's the rentals team.
What's up?
Hello.
They make it happen. Any rental needs, they're the team that takes the gear out and facilitates a lot of events. And
That's great.
so
There's a live training going on.
We're going to go sneak in and check it out. Let's go.
The tech team plays a big role here in the company. We're responsible for educating all of the salespeople on the latest technologies and all the new gear that comes out. We're also support networks for, the deeper questions that we get from customers through sales.
Yeah.
We help answer those. We establish great relationships with vendors, like Sean here, and bring them in on a weekly basis. So about 3 days every week, we have trainings in-house.
I'm an outside sales rep. I work for a company called AudioBiz, so we're like the manufacturer's representative for certain brands, Chave, Shure, Allen and Heath, other brands that we work with, Full Compass. So we're kind of the boots on the ground, and I'm in here a lot doing training, again, working with the tech team for getting them up to speed on new products that are coming out, and then also work with the tech team on backups for like doing speaker layout designs and things like that, and helping customers with more technical questions.
Today we have Roland coming in, and this is our streaming setup that we have because we're fully hybrid company.
Right.
We have salespeople all over the country. Every single training that we have, we live stream it, and we record it and keep it for perpetuity. I guess that's the word.
Where are we going?
We're going to our repairs department.
Okay.
With the fine folks over there that take care of a bunch of different gear.
Uh-oh.
Hey, Corey, how's it going? Doing good. Yeah, just hold that.
What'd they break over here? And now you got to fix it.
Yeah, on the Nord, putting in a couple new encoders and a button.
Nice.
Button and encoders?
Yep.
Nice.
Was this like a stage 2? Oh yeah, stage 2.
Yep, stage 2. I got some more
Sweet.
incoming over there waiting on parts.
Uh-oh. Oh no, SL88. What happened to that?
Control got banged off of it? Yeah, I think so. Yeah. Yeah, I just got some physical damage.
Oh, physical. Okay, good.
So
That ain't
it's nice to
bad.
be able to do that so something that's just got a little bit of a defect doesn't end up in the trash.
Yeah, for
Bring it
real.
Back to life. Yep.
Got a Helix up there.
Oh no, what happened to that? This is
About how
awesome.
many pieces of gear would you say you work on a year?
In a year?
Yeah.
The last time I counted, it was like 1,200 or
Okay.
something like that.
Wow.
It's impressive.
Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of output. So
Mhm.
it's a pretty impressive operation I think we've got here, and something that sets us apart a little bit. So absolutely.
I don't think many people know that
Mhm.
you guys do this.
Right. Right.
This is great.
Mm-hmm.
I'm glad we're
Absolutely.
filming this.
It's
So-
unique, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Whoa!
Right there.
Oh, what?
Thank you so much to Nick and the whole team here at Full Compass for letting us interrupt. We thank you so much for showing me around, and to everybody, thank you. Come here.
Oh, Jason's on in there.
Jason is a huge part of this company, a huge part of this making this video happen. So thank you so much for helping make this happen.
Hey, thanks for being here, Chad.
And being my producer.
Yeah,
So, because he was like, he was keeping us on point the whole time. So, and everybody behind the scenes is, I can't say thank you enough. If you want to go check out more about Full Compass, go to the description below, click on that link. It'll just be just a normal fullcompass.com link, so you can see what all they have and what all they have available for your church or wherever you need gear for, right?
Absolutely.
So subscribe if you haven't already. Remember, great worship leaders are always learning. See you. Am I kicked out now?
Yeah, get out.
I gotta
Get out of
go.
here. Get out.
And a huge thank you to Chad Buckland, obviously, for conducting that tour. I really hope can everyone hear me? Yeah, okay. Coming back here on video. I hope everybody enjoyed that experience, that tour of Full Compass, and
Hey, guys,
Thomas.
that
and,
was
Oh, wait,
awesome.
speaking. You can't hear him?
No.
He's speaking.
Oh, can
Sorry
you hear me?
about that.
Can you hear me over there?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, great. Thank you to Chad Buckland. And thank you to everybody for watching. I hope you enjoyed those videos. And Thomas and Peterson, thank you so much for those comments. Honestly, it is a dream. I'm out in Los Angeles, so I'm not in Madison where the warehouse is, but it really is a dream to work with. But not only that, for churches, houses of worship of any type, it's a dream to order from and have the consultation and expertise of Full Compass. We understand that, there's not a one size fits all for churches or houses of worship. I was a worship leader for 4 years of a church that was a non-denominational, and it kind of started as a pop-up, and then it went to a small building, and eventually during my tenure we grew from I think 500 to 5,000. So we had a new building and all kinds of gear. Full Compass is the company that you want to go to for your gear needs. They know how to do integrate pro sound and lighting into an old building if you're doing that, or all the gear for pop-up churches, in school gymnasiums or what have you. We are the solution for all of those needs. So if you have any audio, video, lighting, or even conferencing equipment needs, please feel free to give us a call, reach out. We are ready and willing to listen to your needs and customize a plan to help with your gear or integration or upgrades or what have you. So anything that you need, please give us a call today at 1-800-356-5844, or as always, go to fullcompass.com, and all of the gear that Chad showed and so many more are available on that website. So go to fullcompass.com or call us today at 1-800-356-5844. Thank you so much, everybody, for watching this video, and I hope we hope to hear from you soon.
Thanks, Nick.
All right. Thank you, Nick. So hopefully Nick will have a moment to discuss some of that cool stuff in our breakout room. It is time for everybody to go to the breakout room. We're going to spend a few moments answering all the last questions. Great job, Mike. Mike's pumping it up. We did great. Everyone was here. Man, I've been having great discussions in the breakout room with so many different folks from all around the world. This has really become a global event, Tess.
It really has. Somebody in the chat was just talking about being from Haiti.
Wow.
It's just so cool to see so many people gather together for this event.
Thank you, everybody, for joining. When you leave the webinar, take a moment to come into the networking room. If you're watching online, come to the Zoom event because we want you to be there to claim your prize. We're going to give away a PTZOptics Move SE, and we're going to answer any final questions that everybody has. This has been such an amazing event. What'd you think, John? Was it good?
Yeah, I think it was great. We covered everything from audio to video, and I think we taught a lot of valuable lessons today. Yeah.
It was really good. I mean, it's funny because, we take a lot of time to plan this, but you can't fully ever plan it. It's just the magic that happens. We can't control what Nick's going to do, what Jake's going to say at the end of the day. Alan's going to bring that really cool music stuff that he's doing. We can't control what's happening in Ukraine. We can support Greg and his mission and pray for him because he's in a war zone. But we can't control all of this stuff. This is out of our control. It's a beautiful world that we live in, though. And we're really excited for everyone to be here today to celebrate the Worship Summit Live. We'll see you next year. We only do this once a year. Mm-hmm. So I hope you guys enjoyed it. Show some love in the chat. And we'll see you guys in the networking room in just a moment. All right. I think that might be the end of the live stream. So peace out on YouTube, everybody. Thank you so much. Appreciate you. All right.